Mugs, both green and silver.
The ooze tube is happening.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Can't see
My
it,
fat
but
head will block
it's
the whole
there.
thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fine. Both of our
Yeah.
heads block the light, so
Yeah.
you actually miss a good amount of stuff.
Looks like we have a blue halo.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Okay. Oh, we're recording. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
why not?
All this is documented for posterity.
Yeah, it's no more put together than the rest of it is.
Oh, that's true. All right. Ready?
Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 98 of the Goulet Pencast, where fountain pens are still a thing. I am Brian Goulet.
I'm Drew Brown.
And we're here from Goulet Pens to deliver this casual and informal, tangential and extraneous, superfluous and extemporaneous fountain pen show, where we talk about what's going on at the Goulet Pen Company and, more important, in our fountain pen lives. In today's show, we're going to be talking about our picks for the best gold-nib pen for ink sampling. That sounds confusing.
Yeah.
But I think I got it. Who would we choose as the cast of The Office in fountain pen form? That should be fun. Producing our ink splatter as an actual ink color. ... Our best selling custom ground nibs, and which are the favorite custom ground nibs from our personal collection. And our thoughts on picking just one ink color and sticking with it by choice. And then we have a pen spotlight for the Quaco All Sport in Goulet Blue. And we got some other things to talk about. Like Drew saw Oppenheimer, and I want to hear about it. I haven't heard about it yet.
I didn't write down any of my stuff.
There. You didn't write down any of your stuff?
No.
Oh, Drew.
I'll figure it out.
That's all right. I'll ramble a bit, and you can answer.
Yeah.
Get ahead of me.
I did some stuff.
You did. You always do stuff. All right. Let's start off with feedback.
We got a lot of good feedback this time. Everybody's so courteous and
I feel like we always get
fun
good
in
feedback.
the feedback
You're a great
section.
audience. I just want to say.
Yeah, it's
super engaging.
Now, the only downside is that it's hard to pick ones to talk about because there's so many good ones. But please, if you haven't just checked out the comment section on YouTube, check it out. Like, the people that watch this are just so much more delightful than Brian or myself. So that's where the real action's at. All right, so Kasek says, I mentioned in the comments a while back, but it's even more relevant this week because we were talking about pens in movies.
Yes.
Kasek says, in Demolition Man, after being unfrozen in the future, Wesley Snipes' character attacks a warden with a fountain pen.
Hey-o.
My best guess was originally a Lamy logo, but upon pulling it up again just now, it was definitely a Roachring 900.
Okay.
Both have banded sections and snap caps. That's an excellent movie, Brian.
I haven't seen it.
The most accurate thing about that movie is in the future, all restaurants are Taco Bell because they win the franchise wars. It's happening, man.
Wow.
You better get on board now.
They do think outside the bun, right?
Mm-hmm. Ding dong. All right. And then we spoke about the possibility of there being some sort of revolution or evolution to fountain pen technology. Even though it's an older device, is there room for game-changing innovation?
Yeah. I gave a really concise answer in the last Pencast.
It might have contributed a little bit to its 2 hour, 20-some minutes time frame. But regardless, one of the most popular, if not the most popular response we got from you all about that was in regards to Ian Schoen's Monarch nib, which is in fact quite revolutionary, all things considered. So Brian, this nib that Ian Schoen of Schoen Design has created is a completely machined nib. I believe the first of its kind because it is, milled there from solid titanium in his...
normally it's like a plate of sorts and then it just gets like bent in nib shape. So you're saying it starts out like as a block and he
I believe so.
drills it out?
I believe so. And he actually threads the nib itself to fit into a grip section that would normally fit a Yovo feed housing. So it is a hollow nib that then has an Ultem feed inserted into it. So that's that kind of clear yellowish resin. And it is untipped because it is titanium. It is hard enough to not need tipping. Traditionally, in my experience, titanium nibs have been very thin and very bendy. This is a much more dense piece of titanium.
Yeah, I've only seen titanium nibs on like flexible, T-flex.
They've been bouncy.
And
this one
like
is definitely not that. It's very rigid. And it has an engraved, Schoen on it that is then filled with lacquer. And then he can create different icons on the opposite side of the nib. It's a very It's definitely innovative. So
I have to admit, I was ignorant of this when we answered the question last week. So
it's worth checking out.
I learned something. Thank you.
It's worth checking out if you want to visit his website. They're very cool looking. So definitely very valid feedback, that one.
That's cool.
And then lots of funny feedback in response to your backpack segment, because everybody wanted to chime in and say, well, I have this random thing in my backpack. I
felt like Mary Poppins, just like
someone mentioned that,
pulling all kinds of random things, and it's like it just keeps going.
Someone mentioned the Mary Poppins feedback. A couple people said that random pocket that goes through the back is for shoes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe.
Yeah, like any muddy clothes or wet or sweaty, dirty clothes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of funny comments, though. Wood Thrush Cottage wanted us to know that they have embroidery floss in their backpack. I have no idea what that is, but I'm sure some of you out there do.
Okay.
Martha mentions that she has an iced tea carrier, something to carry her iced tea.
Is that like different than a just travel mug
From
thing?
what she mentioned in the comment, it seemed like it was
can you,
sort of a cloth.
The tea in
I
it,
believe
maybe?
it was some sort of cloth device to carry it, like a caddy. Anyway, that's in Martha's backpack.
Okay.
And Tiss said that they also have expired Cliff Bars in their cycling backpack. So that's two things, cycling and expired Cliff Bars, that you and Tiss both enjoy.
I think that's what just happens is if you cycle or like exercise a lot, you just like stick these bars in all your various bags, and then they just get kind of scrunched down, and other things get thrown on top of them, and then you find them after they're expired.
Yep. So we're in good company, or you are at least.
Yeah.
Someone said, "Oh, what's in Drew's bag?" It is not entertaining.
He's a lot more hygienic than I am.
I've got a folder, a book, this pen case.
Boring.
Yeah, it's not much. Laptop.
You don't pack for the wilderness like I do.
I do not.
I'm ready for anything.
And you have convinced me to make sure I don't. Yes, ever the cautionary tale.
I'm not saying mine is a life to be modeled after.
No.
Mine is a result of just what happens when I live my life.
Yes.
It is not by design.
Yes.
Put it that way. Except for the backpack choice itself and having a million pockets. I do like having that. Anyway, cool. All right, I got some feedback too. This is from Toots4 956. I laughed when during the Q&A, Brian was answering the question in regard to the revolution of pens by first saying the short answer, ... No short answer with Brian, which I enjoy. Well, thank you, Toots. Really glad to hear that, because that's pretty much what you're going to get. Literally after we recorded last week, I was like, Drew, how do we keep going so long? What are we doing? I'm like, it's literally just us talking. It's within our control. But it just happens. It's like we go into a time vortex with these things. Anyway, all right. Christine Salvatore says, Brian, put the clothespin in your backpack. They come in handy for many things, not the least of which is clipping the curtains in a hotel room closed. I have heard of this trick. So if you have curtains that are like, have that little crack of light that just don't quite, because they don't quite meet, put a little clothespin on there, closes that crack up, and then you don't have to deal with the sun. So that's very smart. I would like to say that's why I had it in my backpack, but I don't think that's the case. But I don't think I've cleaned it out yet, so it's still in there by happy circumstance. And we'll be going to the DC show next weekend, so I might be able to use it there.
There will be a hotel.
Assuming I don't clean out my backpack more, I'll have it with me. Okay. Christy says, seriously, the backpack dump is the funniest thing I've watched in a long time. I feel like Brian would understand some of the things still left in our luggage in the back of the closet. Oh, for sure. Funny enough, the luggage that I leave like in my house that I'm not using, I don't put anything in there. Like I always clean that out completely before I put the luggage away. But the stuff that I carry around with me, I'm just like, oh, well, it's better to have it than not. So I just end up carrying around like 30 pounds worth of stuff. Anyway. And then Mohammed Sami says, forget pens at a pen show. Brian needs to bring tacos for the booth attendees. The Goulet Taco Company is born. Well, apparently Taco Bell is going to take over the world, so
that's right.
I can just become a
assimilated
soldier for Taco Bell.
That's
apparently.
right.
That would work out well. Rachel would be happy with that. She loves her some tacos, and the kids love tacos. Tacos is like
their slogan could be join or fry.
Join.
Because they don't have fried crap like all those other fast food places. Taco Bell is basically nature's bounty.
They fry their Mexican pizza like crusts. That's fried.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, but it's minimal frying.
That's very specific.
Minimal frying.
Minimal frying. Yeah. No, that's legit. Taco is like the go-to Goulet family meal. Like everybody's pleased with it.
Everybody was very, very much in favor with your taco system. Apparently, I'm in the minority as far as I'm not doing enough for my tacos.
Well, it's all right. There's no wrong way to taco, Drew.
No.
No
I just
wrong way
want
to taco.
mine to be as much like Taco Bell tacos as possible. That's my love language as far as tacos go.
There you go. There you go. All right, that's all we got for feedback. Let's talk about some new stuff. Okay, I got one new stuff, as well as two others. So the first one, is the Monteverde MVP fountain pen in Diamond Clear. This is a $28 pen. It's a little shorty, a little pocket pen. It's a number 5 nib. It is eyedropperable with a built-in O-ring, and they even give you a little eyedropper to go with it. And this one kind of makes sense for the eyedropper thing because it's clear, so you can actually see the ink kind of sloshing around in there. And I gotta say, for $28,
the ink reservoir is not like massive either. So
I mean, it's decent. Like,
not like a Collier though.
No, it's not like 3.5 milliliters or something crazy. I mean, I don't know actually the ink capacity of the eyedropper on that offhand. I don't know. I'm sure we have it in the tech specs on our site, but I digress. Anyway, but you can also use short cartridges with it too if you don't want to eyedropper it, I think, right? It's not eyedropper only, it's just eyedropper.
Correct.
Eyedroppable or eyedropperable?
Yes.
What is the correct grammar there?
Dropping the eyes
whenever I type it out, all the autocorrects are just like, I don't know what you're trying to say.
No,
like none of this makes any sense.
You shouldn't say it.
So anyway, eyedroppable. Sure.
Remember, we tried to come up with a new name for it like dozens of pencasts ago.
Nothing stuck.
No.
It's hard to undo something that's been around for like 80 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, next pen, Monteverde Innova fountain pen and ink set in blue skis.
Blue skis, like a Kwaski.
Yes, blue skies technically, but I like to call it blue skis. It's my little inside thing. This is a special edition. It is I think Monteverde calls it a numbered edition. It is not limited. It's just numbered. So it's just
ad infinitum.
Each pen has its own number, and it will be numbered until they are no more. So we got that $60. So it's the Innova. It's a very solid, nice like straight barrel. If you like the straight barrel pens, very utilitarian, I would say. Sturdy metal. It's heavy, but not too heavy.
Yep.
It feels stout.
It's a lot of pen for $60.
It really is. You're not only getting the pen, but you're getting ink too.
Yeah.
Which, spoiler alert, a question about our ink splatter that we're going to be talking about a little later. We actually gave them the hex code for our Goulet Blue, and they modeled it after that, and they hit it pretty dead on.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
It was kind of cool. So this is an exclusive pen and ink that we have. The pen is like a nice ombre color. We were like, let's do an ombre blue.
Yeah, it's the first Innova to have a gradient color in it.
They did a good job with it.
And it's a fully metal one, so there are no plastic pieces. In the past, we have had some feedback on the Innova because they snap to post. And a few iterations ago, the plastic end piece would, if you were posting over and over again,
literally snap to post.
It would snap. It would snap off. Any sort of pull and twist motion, if you didn't pull it straight up, that part was a little weak.
Just put a little pressure.
But this is a metal pen, so you don't have to worry about that.
That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Not under normal human strength.
Yeah. So pretty cool. Anyway, so go check that one out. I don't think we have a specific time limit we're going to offer that. We're going to offer it until people don't want it anymore. And then we don't sell any, and then we'll stop carrying it.
That's right. Basically.
And then, we have the TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR fountain pen in Sunset Yellow.
Yes.
Not a lot of yellows, but this is a really strong looking yellow. It's like a golden yellow.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's more gold.
Yeah, it's not that it's not like a school bus yellow.
No, it's a nice yellow.
It's almost like I don't know. Maybe it is like it's not quite.
It's like a sunset.
It's not as much orange. Yeah, it's like a golden. Yeah, it's like golden yellow. Yeah. So
or like Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah, like a Velveeta, melted Velveeta. Yeah.
It's like the look of fake cheese.
Movie theater.
Like it's supposed to be yellow, but it's also a little bit orange because they're trying.
Like the pump butter they put on movie popcorn. It comes out and you're like, that's not a natural color.
Yeah,
it's almost like efflorescent. It glows.
Pretty accurate.
It's kind of that color.
Oh man, now I'm hungry.
If you were to smear movie theater butter on aluminum, it would look like that. I don't know if that's appetizing or not.
Oh yeah.
Just imagine if you touch the pen and then you get movie butter all over your fingers. And that'd be kind of hard to hold the pen. Anyway, it's just the color.
But it's an ALR, so it's got the textured grip section.
That's right. So you get to feel texture and butter. No, you don't feel butter. I was hypothesizing. Anyway, the pen is $65. ALR is great pen, nice sturdy components and stuff. You get to see the ink sloshing around in there. It's a good time had by all. You could put buttered popcorn in there, Drew.
Yes.
That would be a great
Oh my God, what
match.
a combo.
Or a Dimine.
No. You said buttered popcorn?
No.
That is it.
No. The Dimine.
We are done. Are you listing worse inks now?
What the heck is the color?
Okay, we've moved on to the
it's
worst.
the gold one. Golden
inks.
Sands.
Yes,
Golden Sands
which
would
is
be
worse
awesome.
than buttered popcorn.
That would
correct.
be awesome in that pen.
It would indeed be
It's
less
not worse.
awesome.
It's different. It's got shimmer, so it's like
it's more difficult.
It's like a different
high maintenance?
situation.
Okay.
It's definitely going to be higher maintenance for sure.
If you want to have a more difficult time, use that.
Yeah.
But if you want to have the right time,
not everybody's trying to live an easy life, Drew.
If you want to write
some might
the right
say,
time with the right
some might
stuff,
say the harder
buttered
road is
popcorn.
the one worth whatever. Anyway, we're going to have that on Friday by the time this video goes out. So look for that. Drew?
Big news, Brian.
What's your news?
Do you remember how you had an employee here at the Goulet Pen Company that was bothering you for about 1.5 to 2 years about how helpful a feed cleaning brush would be?
Yeah.
Do you remember that guy?
Like an old toothbrush that you probably have laying around your house.
But it wouldn't be a toothbrush. It'd be a feed brush.
Feed brush. It's very different.
So
right?
it'd be different. Yeah.
Totally different concept.
Different. Well,
it does not have toothbrush bristles. It has feed brush bristles.
Yeah, exactly.
Feed brush bristles.
Yes.
Wow.
So, well, as of, I'm happy to say that this
is this happening?
This brilliant
is this happening?
This brilliant human won over the hearts of the owners of the Goulet Pen Company through pure, what would you call it? Determination.
Yeah, just annoyance,
charm,
stubbornness.
You know, je ne sais quoi.
Wearing down of. Sure.
We have a Goulet Pen Company feed cleaning brush. It is $3. It's got our logo on it, and it works great on fountain pen feeds.
It can be unofficially Droulet for us pencasts, hardcore folks. But we didn't want to put that up on the site because it was like no one's going to know what that actually means. So
like, what's a Droulet?
We'll all know.
We'll know.
We'll all know where it's.
We know where it came from.
That's right. But it's better than a toothbrush, Drew, because it's got like a little protective cap thing.
It does.
That like covers it. And
but
that's better.
They're nice rigid bristles. They actually will do a good job cleaning your feed from pesky shimmer, chunked up sheen, all the stuff that you need. Chunked up sheen, man. Yeah.
That's right.
That's what happens when
like Charlie
and me put on a few pounds. Yeah,
that's right. Chunked up sheen.
But it is available. I'm super excited about it, and I hope it sells because otherwise somebody's not going to let me hear the end of it.
Taking them all out of Drew's paycheck, and he's going home with 5,000 toothbrushes.
Oh man, that's fine. Kidding. I will take them to DC with me and literally throw them at everybody. That's I'll have a toothbrush cannon that just
if they don't sell, this is what the Goulet lineage will use to brush their teeth in perpetuity. Yes,
for all eternity. So it's a good thing to keep around. It's a short handle, so I like to kind of grip it with my hand and put my thumb at the back of the bristle plate, whatever, and kind of like that.
Yeah. You got to make that noise too.
Yeah. I need to make the podcast listeners know exactly what I'm doing.
That's right. It paints a picture with sounds.
100%. So in addition to the amazing feed brush, nothing else really
what
matters.
What can top that?
Nothing. But we are going to have some new Sailor Mano Pro Gear Slims.
Yep.
Slims. So these Pro Gear Slims are sets, not like it's like a whole pen set, but each pen is then paired with an ink that matches really nicely with it. So every one of these new pens is going to come with some already existing and available Sailor Mano inks. So we've got, these are $312 a piece. We've got Moss with Sailor Mano Koke, Wisteria with Fuji, Violet is packaged with the ink Kikyao, Rabbit Ear Iris is packaged with Kakitsubara, and then Grass is packaged with Sailor Mano Hinoki. So all very lovely inks, some of the best inks in the Mano line, I think.
You can't go wrong with pretty much any Mano ink, in my opinion. They're pretty great.
So really, really beautifully designed pens, nice color arrangement, and every pen has a unique finial, which I absolutely love, Brian.
You're all about some finials.
They need to do this every time. It is one of the coolest things Sailor can do. It
cool.
makes them so unique compared to every other pen brand. They should do it every time. It's amazing. Give me more, please, Sailor.
How do you really feel about it, Drew?
I like them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't even know what these are. They're all flowery things. They're not they're not amazing,
somewhat abstract,
but still they're there. They're unique. They're pretty. They're pretty.
Unique. They're cool, and they match the pen. It's like looking.
Delightful.
Awesome. All right,
absolutely delightful.
That's all we got for new stuff for now. But now it's time for Q&A.
All right. First A that I need from you, Brian, is coming from this Q.
I'll make it a short one.
I believe you on this one.
I think I actually will, but we'll see.
So Lord Jack 567 says, as a chronic ink sampler who is constantly buying Surprise Me sample packs, I'd love to know Brian and Drew's picks for the best gold-nib ink sampler pen. Something that's easy to clean, handles most inks smoothly, and can effectively show off all of the shimmering, sheening, and shading.
I'll be honest with you, I had to answer this question twice because the first time I read it wrong. And I thought they were asking for gold ink samples, like ink recommendations to try. And then I reread it and I was like, oh, they're talking about a pen.
I'd like to have sympathy for you there, but I have no idea how you would have gotten there from this question.
I don't know either. Sometimes my mind just skips words and puts together what it wants to.
It must have skipped a lot of them.
It did. Anyway. So first
but you
off,
still did better than me because I forgot to write anything down. So this is all you, buddy.
All right. Well,
I'll just decide to disagree.
I'm sure you
with
can banter and pick apart my response.
It's gonna be wrong.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's gonna be wrong. Honestly, I think really it's whatever gold nib pen that you have that you enjoy, that you like. That's pretty much it. Like I don't know a lot of people that are like buying gold nib pens to suit their ink needs per se. It's usually the other way around because gold nib pens get expensive. So usually you kind of get whatever you like and then you just try inks that work well with it. But, you know, if you are looking to get like just a good, maybe you don't have a lot of gold nib pens or you just like to have some that are, you know, more versatile and stuff like that, I did come up with a few recommendations. I would say like just in principle, ones that are easy to clean, like something that's a cartridge converter is probably going to be a good way to go. I feel like when you get into gold nib pens, you have more options usually for filling mechanisms. You get into more like the vacuum fillers and or power fillers, the pistons, those types of things. They become somewhat more ubiquitous, but I mean, cartridge converter is still kind of the default for most pens. And that was the way I would lean if you're going to be ink sampling a lot, just because the ability to flush out your pen with a bulb syringe is it's just the best. It's just, there's no better way to clean out a pen. So anything that you can use like that, which pretty much every brand has a cartridge converter of some kind that has a gold nib. So go with that. Some specific pens though, I have the Lamy Studio in Palladium or Piano Black. So this is the Studio that has the 14 karat gold nib option on it. Now granted, you could take that nib and put it on any Lamy pen that you want, but I feel like we've at times had the gold nibs separately. We haven't had them for a while though. They're very expensive just by themselves. But anyway, so those two Studios, the reason I like them is because they are cartridge converter. They're easy to clean out. The grips are kind of slick and pretty easy to clean as well. There's not a lot of like nooks and crannies for the grips to get like really stuck on. And then the nib, I would go with like a medium or a broad. The broad Lamy 14 karat nib is like one of my favorite nibs.
Yeah.
It's so smooth and so wet. If you're looking for shading and sheen and stuff like that, that thing is going to be definitely a contender. Not maybe the best all around nib to use in like your daily writing if you're using tighter line rulings like a 5mm. But if you're using 7 or 8mm, like, then you're good to go. But, you know, just be aware that thing kind of dumps. So maybe a medium nib would be better as like a good all around nib, but the broad is, if you can get one of those, it's like, yeah.
It's so smooth.
It is an experience.
It's ridiculously smooth.
It's surprisingly bouncy for as like kind of short as those nibs are. You wouldn't think that they bounce a lot, but they really do. So I really like that one a lot. So I think that one's good. The Pilot Vanishing Point or Decimo sounds kind of weird because it's like retractable nib and all that kind of stuff. The one thing I was going to say about the Lamy, and this is kind of true with the VP too, not great for dipping. So if you're just trying to get a quick dip and get a sample that way, there's no like exposed fins on the feed of either of these pens, the Lamy or the Pilot. So you're going to be kind of limited there. Other ones, like say you have like a Pilot Custom 74 or something like that, got those nice exposed fins. It's going to grab a lot of ink when you dip it, and you're going to be able to just dip right for longer. does that really matter? Maybe not, because you sort of have to flush and clean the whole pen out anyway. So is it that much more of a burden to just suck some ink up in a cartridge or a converter? I don't think it's that big of a deal, but if that does matter to you, just know that the Lamy and the VP are not going to be able to be very dippable. I mean, they are still kind of dippable, but you'll get a couple of words maybe at most and not much else. But the VP Decimo in like a medium, I think is a good all around. The broad too is pretty wet. So those are both good. And the stub nib too. They have a really nice 1.0 stub nib in the VP that you might want to get. I don't know if they come, do the Decimos have stub nibs available on them? I know Decimos in general just have a little more limited offering. I can't remember if that's just certain VPs. But those nib units are removable. And that's what I like so much about those nibs is they're very easy to clean out. There's just not a lot to them. So cleaning out like if you remove the cartridge and you take a bulb syringe, it just fits so great into the back of those like VP nib units. And then you flush it out and it's just like, it has nowhere to go, but just cleanliness like happening with that thing. So super easy to clean out. So for that, I do like them. Maybe a little bit more of a pain to fill, not sure. Because it's got the long nib and then you got the filler holes like way up there. Yeah. So if you're filling from samples, I could see that as maybe being a drawback.
Point. Yeah, it definitely is.
So that's kind of a pain if that matters.
You have to double up your samples.
Maybe, or like use a syringe, or like if you use a syringe and fill cartridges, then that's actually a pretty good way to go. Because that's another argument I could see. Some people don't love that Con 40.
Neither do you.
Maybe.
Don't pretend like you like the Con 40.
It's not my favorite. But I don't hate it as much as everybody else. But it is, especially like from a sample kind of a thing. Like it's not the most ideal. It doesn't have like the strongest suck power.
It is not the most ideal of any converter for anything. It does not have a strength at all.
I'm trying to be really nice here, but yeah. So
it's okay.
I can see that argument. But the syringe can work really great. But you lose that kind of dippability factor. So okay, maybe not.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I like that a lot.
But okay, if you like the dippability thing,
I do.
Sailor, good option. Good. Now the nibs are going to be a little stiffer, right? But you get the exposed fins. You get a lot of nib options to choose from, and you get that zoom nib up in there. So if you go with like a Pro Gear Slim or a 1911S, you're getting. Granted, it's a stiffer nib, but you're going to get consistent flow. You're going to get, if you get that zoom nib, then you can get a really thin line if you hold it up really straight, or a really fat line if you hold it much lower angle. You get kind of that variability for testing ink samples and trying to get an impression of what the ink is like in like a thin or a fat stroke. A zoom nib is a pretty good way to go. And then I think, maybe this matters to you, maybe not when sampling, but color matching your ink to your pen, it's definitely a thing. So, they have a lot of options that are like more neutral, like the Trinity 1911S. That's like a nice, stealthy kind of looking thing.
Almost,
it just will just look like compatible with every ink that you use. That's probably more an issue, I think, if you're like actually inking up the pen and carrying it around. But you may very well do that too if you're not just like sitting down, just doing a quick like little swabbity, swatchity, scratchity, test of the ink sample. And you want to actually like carry it around and write with it for a little bit. That's how I like to generally do my ink sampling, is I like to actually like write it with it in real world scenarios. But anyway, so that's an option. Definitely more dippable, and I like that zoom. And then I had a question mark on this one, like maybe the Pilot Falcon or the E95S, just because the nib softness allows you to like have really fine strokes, but then if you like put a little pressure on it, it gets wider and you can see some. I mean, you're our resident E95S fanboy here, so maybe you can tell me.
I can.
And you sample inks all the time, so
bad choice.
Really?
So I will say it's
misleading. I put a question mark at the end of it,
so
I wasn't sure.
Just for cleaning, like because you can't. For me, if I'm going to use Lord Jack says he wants something for shimmering, sheening, and shading. I'm not going to put
these sheeners. Are all high. These are all high cleaning, high maintenance inks. Yeah.
Not going to put those in my beloved E95S. In fact, I'm going to say uncharacteristically, Lamy 2000, E95S, poor choices for this.
I did not even put the Lamy 2000 on
because
here.
It's just for cleaning. For me, if I'm going to use shimmer or something with heavy sheen, I'm going to use them exclusively in something I can almost completely disassemble.
Yeah.
And you can't take the nib off of the E95S.
True.
So I'm not going to mess around with that. I need to be able to see where my nooks and crannies are, or if I can't, I need to use an ink that I know isn't going to mess up
for
anything.
like the ink testing and getting an impression of using it. I like that nib,
right. And
but you're right.
And it fills. You can fill it from a shallow-ish sample.
Yes.
So the E95 is great for that.
Pilot nibs are really good for that.
They are. Yeah. Even the ones with the bigger nibs, like the 823, you can fill from a relatively
74 because the filler hole is like almost at the tip.
It's pretty cool.
Of the thing. Yeah, that is pretty cool. So yeah, those are my recommendations for gold nibs.
Yeah.
For ink sampling, yes, purposes. Ink sampler, pen, gold nib, yes, that.
I agree. You know what I can't find is that I'd love it if I could. I love the 74, and I love the Pro Gear. What I don't love, if I'm going to be dipping, and if I am a serial sampler, I might be wanting to do that.
Sure.
And you brought that point up, and I think that's a very good consideration.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be dipping, I don't want to be dipping translucent grip sections.
Yeah.
Especially with those two pens.
Because some 74, it's got like a 2-layered grip section.
Sailor's the same way.
Like this inaccessible, invisible layer that it's just made to want to hold on to ink.
Sailor's the same way. Unless you have an opaque grip section, which is fewer and further between.
I mean, there's still plenty of options with opaque grip sections, but it seems like
not in the 74. There's not.
Not in the 74. No.
So that's unfortunate. No. So,
but if you did like a 912,
I was thinking about the 912.
The
The 912 might not be a bad idea. 823 does have.
823 as a sampling pen is a pretty terrible choice.
But that's the thing. It's like you can't remove the grip section on that one.
Yeah, not that one.
So you can't use your bulb syringe. So
743. That's like an 823 with a cartridge converter.
Yeah,
that's a good option.
743 or 912.
Not a clear grip on that one. 743.
Yeah, so I like the 912 because I like the flat tops. But if you want the round cigar shaped, more traditional look, I guess the 743 is a good option.
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm going to be using all the different sorts of inks, I want something that I can open up and clean easily. I can't think of off the top of my head. I was just looking on my phone to see if I could find. I don't think we have any pens that sell. I guess Mayor and Nettuno are probably where we sell Jowo gold nibs.
Diplomat Nexus has one.
Diplomat Nexus. Okay.
Yep.
That's a
not a great sampling pen.
No, I wouldn't have thought about that one.
That's the pen that came to mind when you said that.
You're right. I forgot. I do often overlook that pen. But those, if it's a Jowo nib, it's going to be easy to clean as well. Fully disassemblable, easy to put back together, and easy to use a bulb syringe to flush it out.
Yeah.
You just don't see you don't see a lot of them because the premium that you pay for that Jowo gold nib is high.
Like when we've had like on an Edison or something, it basically like doubles the price of the pen.
It's a lot.
It's just a high cost. Gold is expensive.
Yeah. So I think those are solid options.
Cool. Yeah. If y'all thought of any others that come to mind, please leave us some comments because I put some thought into it and I came up with some, but I was like, I don't know that any of these are totally nailing it, but you never know. Everybody's got different tastes, but really the best pen is the one that you already have access to. So just have fun. Okay, Drew, I got a question for you.
Bring it.
From Just a Space.
Hey, Justice.
Okay, you've opened up the door. The cast of The Office as fountain pens. And I believe this response came in right after we talked about the Mario stuff.
It did.
You've been saving this one for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I didn't want to go right into another.
And I think it's time.
Yeah.
And when I did my notes last night, Drew hadn't put his in yet. And I wrote mine in our document in white text.
I thought he just wasn't going to do it.
He thought I was just going to wing it today. And I was like, no, I prepared, but I kept it from you. So we have not seen each other's choices yet.
So rather than, unlike the Mario one where I did, I actually, since Brian is very well versed in Office characters.
I've seen The Office many times.
He can.
I'm not current on Office Ladies podcasts.
Neither am I.
But I'm like, we've both seen, in the spring of 2023.
Yeah, we've seen the series all the way through multiple times.
Many times.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Many times.
All right, so I gave him half the characters, and I gave me half the characters, and I tried to mix them up in terms of.
That's right. I didn't realize we have different characters. Okay, so we can't really compare ours.
Right. No, we can't compare.
But we can critique each other's choices.
Absolutely, we can.
Okay.
I fully intend to.
I'm into that.
All right, so I'll go first. I gave myself Jim and Pam. For Jim, I immediately thought about the Pilot Explorer. The Pilot Explorer is near and dear to my heart, and its current state of affairs is not unlike Mr. Jim Halpert because it's a great pen. It can perform really well, but people are just not giving it as much of a chance. It's not
being recognized.
It's not in the right place it needs to be.
Okay.
I think that it needs to be, whereas the Explorer, I think, needs in Japan, it's called something different. It's a cheaper pen, which I think it should be. And I think it's just not in the right spot for it to succeed. And for so long on the show, Jim was right there.
Okay.
He was not in the right spot for him to be able to succeed and to spread his wings. The Explorer needs to spread its wings, and maybe the Metropolitan needs to die so that the Explorer can spread its wings. I don't know. I'm not saying that Jim needed to kill anybody, but he did need to spread his wings. He needed to get out of the office, be on his own.
Maybe the Metropolitan is Dwight, and it's just like the more sturdy, more stout, brute version.
Maybe.
The bang for the buck.
Yeah, Jim and the Explorer both have unexplored potential, I will say.
Wow.
Yeah.
You put some thought into this. I appreciate that.
And
it's kind of long and skinny, too. So
that's
even
true.
just visually, it kind of works.
Pam, I wanted to think of the most crafty pen that I could think of. And while...
Crafty like artsy, not crafty like conniving.
No. Like...
Pam gets a little...
certainly,
she gets a little crafty in that way.
Pam sass is a thing.
She makes herself the office man or the office manager or whatever it is. Yeah.
But I wanted something a little crafty and creative, and pens themselves can't do that, but the Traveler's brand is that. And also Ferris Wheel Press is also a little like that too, but we don't have, I wouldn't say that the Ferris Wheel Press pens represent that. The Traveler's brass pen, though, I think is a good example of a crafty pen. It lives well within the theme of the Traveler's notebooks and the modular nature of their system. And it is compact, petite, but also very resilient and extremely reliable, which that's a favorite of yours. Like that thing gets the job done. Yeah. It looks...
It's a cardboard pen.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the cardboard pen. It looks diminutive and unassuming. It's the only one of its kind, really. It's not like it's a whole brand of pens. Yeah. So you might overlook it, but in truth, it can absolutely get the job done if you give it a chance. And it's a creative, fun pen. I think that Pam is that. She's creative, she's reliable, consistent, and tougher than you might think she is. So
I dig it.
There you go. Next up is Toby. So I didn't
want a lot of different directions with this one.
I could have gone a lot of different directions. Yeah. Absolutely. I could have gone with just like the most useless piece of crap in the world. But Toby's not a useless piece of crap. He's not. He's just fine. But
he's like Jim in that he has untapped potential. But it's just very sad. Everything is very sad about him.
For that reason, Toby is the pilot capless Firmo. It is not as popular as the Vanishing Point. It is by far not as popular as the Decimo. It is the long lost other capless pen that no one really cares about. It's back in the annex where no one can. We don't even carry it anymore because it just didn't. No one wanted to buy it. Yeah. It's not. But it's fine. It's a solid pen.
It's a great pen.
It writes the same as some of the other good pens.
Same guts as the Vanishing Point.
But no one cares about it. It's just off where no one likes.
Easy to forget about.
Easy to make fun of.
Yep.
But you don't really mean it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a terrible pen.
Yeah.
It just it's in a zone where it's easily mockable. Yeah. And that's Toby. Yeah. Unfortunately. Sorry, Toby. Kevin, I didn't want to make a size related joke here. That would be beyond me. I am better than that. So with Kevin, I'm going to go with the Lamy ABC because he is just a man child. Yeah. And that's the only thing that, that's more like, I guess I'm kind of trending more into like what pen I would trust him with, which is nothing. But if I was to give him a pen, it would be the Lamy ABC.
Yeah.
But
very approachable pen.
That's where he belongs. If you looked at the Lamy catalog and you're like, well, which one of these is Kevin? He's the one that just doesn't belong there.
Or maybe
somehow
that or like a Twisby Go.
Yeah, exactly.
Something in that vein.
100%.
Pilot Kakuno.
He has the performance and capability of a child's toy.
Okay.
Like he's not supposed
still works.
He still works,
but nobody's like reaching for that one first.
No. There's always a better option.
Yeah, you want an Oscar and an Angela.
There's always a better option
before Kevin.
Yeah. So he's just a clunky, awkward, fountain pen that is
fair enough.
Never going to be your first choice.
Right.
So sorry, ABC, you're fine, but So Ryan Howard I had a hard time with this one because I could have gone in two different directions. Because Ryan is an elitist, like bougie jerk,
Right.
but he's also a hipster.
Yeah.
So I didn't know which one to go.
You can be
towards.
both.
If I wanted to go with bougie New York Ryan,
Okay.
Mont Blanc for sure.
I mean, that makes sense,
Because he would be given it to be a corporate thing. You know, if I'm doing corporate years, Ryan, that's what he's doing. He's getting
Very
a
like
Mont Blanc.
status driven. You know.
Yeah, David Wallace gave him a Mont Blanc when he got his promotion, something like that. Like that's bougie
fits.
goatee Ryan.
It fits.
He's a Mont Blanc. But Fedora Robin is a Karis Customs. it's small batch,
Yeah.
locally owned, machined. Not everybody knows about them.
Right.
They're not retailer oriented. They sell direct.
It's got that everyday carry kind of
So
vibe.
yeah. They're it's that hip vibe. So that's Fedora Robin.
All right.
Not to say if you have or enjoy a Karis Customs pen, you're a hipster by any means. They're great pens, and I have one as well, and I love it. But Ryan would attach himself to that, and I think that is good for representing that later in the show personality that he has.
Fair enough.
Kelly Kapoor, most definitely a Banu pen. There's no way around that. She is
maybe one of the like luminescent ones that like glows in the dark.
Absolutely,
Just
absolutely
loud all the time.
Yeah, and that's just her personality. Now, I'm going with the positive aspects of her personality because in no way do I think Banu is annoying, high maintenance, or kind of borderline psychopathic. But, just the bright, bubbly, gossipy, sparkly nature of her personality.
I think that fits.
I'm not going to insult any pen brand to the point of her negative features because she's kind of a terrible person. Like, probably the legitimately worst person of the entire. Like, no one has done like legit terrible.
That would be a good debate. That would be a good debate.
She's terrible. Yeah. Well, Angela's pretty terrible too, but Kelly never got better. She didn't. Like, she just stayed bad the whole time.
Angela never got much better either.
Toward the end, she loosened up.
Well, when she got engaged and like, cheated on her fiance.
No, at the very end, like, she developed as a character. Kelly stayed vapid and
yeah, I guess
just
so.
complete like superficial. Like anyway. So that's my list.
Okay. Well, I see you gave me Michael. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. That is a privilege.
There's so many different aspects to his personality you could go with.
Okay, I see.
So that was kind of tough for me, but I chose the Banu Euphoria Bora Bora because I could not get like the Jamaican sandals Michael out of my head. Hot. With like the one dreadlock that he had.
Yes. Oh my
so
God.
the Bora Bora is that like beachy Michael vibe.
That is good.
That's what I went with on that one.
That is good.
And just his personality is also a bit kind of loud and a bit superficial as well. But he's good. Like he's all around. Like the Banu is all around a good pen. But you do have to kind of get past the like flashy nature.
There's a ton of personality.
Right? Exactly. So I thought that was kind of fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight, I came up with several pen ideas. And I had to come up with several because I thought of a bunch that we don't carry. So
I had a couple of those.
Yeah. One, I thought it was the Schrade tactical pen. Just because all the weapons he keeps in his office.
That's pretty good.
That one's kind of fitting. But I thought the Monteverde tool pen, because first off, Dwight is a tool, but also he's just like, he's super utilitarian. He's always got some kind of tool to use for something. He's like really good at adapting, like figuring stuff out. So tool pen.
I don't know how you're going to beat that one. I think that's a perfect one for Dwight.
That was good. The only other one I thought of was the Coeco Porqueo Indian Summer because it was like a black and mustard colored pen. And I just thought like literally like those are his colors.
Yeah.
Like his mustard shirts that he would wear. And then when he painted his office all black, I was like, that's like Dwight's colors, but we don't carry that one anymore. And nobody cared about it.
I think a tool pen's a great one.
Tool pen, yeah, I think that one's pretty fitting.
What about the Jinhao Dragon?
Dragon?
That's more of a pen he would own rather than him
that's
as
a pen that he would have, because doesn't he collect like knives and
Well, it makes me think of that episode
like,
where he went to the shop and pretty womaned that wizard figurine.
That's right.
Like the Jinhao Dragon is very much that pewter wizard.
That could fit in the vibe.
But that's not him.
Right.
That's a pen he would have.
Right.
I think the tool pen is him.
That is him.
That's what this question is. It's like them as pens.
Yeah. Then I had Angela. For her, I did the Coeco Lilliput.
Yep.
Just a tiny little
100%
pen, very, very stiff, very rigid.
And I feel like it judges me every time it sees me.
That's right. Andy?
As long as you didn't have it in green, because you know how she feels about green.
No, I didn't pick green. Nope. Probably just brass. Just bare bones, minimalist kind of thing. Andy, I got stumped a little bit on Andy. I thought it's got to be something sailor.
Yes.
Because of his whole yacht rock vibe that he's got going on.
That woven belt with the sailboats on it.
With the penny loafers and the whole thing. But I didn't think of like a specific sailor pen. There's a lot to choose from of like something over the ocean or like some sailor ocean related thing. I guess. I don't know. I'm open to feedback on that, but I just ran out of time planning that.
So we don't have it anymore, but we used to have some very nautical looking regattas. Monteverde regatta.
Oh yeah, the Monteverde regatta could work.
So that's a very, I think the term is from sailing. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. That could work.
That could work if you found one that was not one of the crazy carbon fiber abalone ones. It needs to be
one
of those
blue and white ones.
Blue and white ones,
like one of the OG ones,
or the blue and yellow. I think would be okay as well.
Yeah. Any of those would work. Yeah. Oscar, I chose a Lamy 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. What he does, understated, reliable, just very competent.
He might be the person on the cast most likely to own a fountain pen.
Probably. And he would be very specific about his preferences.
And he would probably like to talk
probably
about
wouldn't
it a
let you
lot.
borrow them.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And then I had Phyllis. This one was tough, but I chose a Benu Talisman Lavender.
Oh, yeah, because it smells.
It smells.
Yes.
Because of her perfume.
Yes, that's a good one.
And just it's purple. You know, she always has like the flowery kind of
That's a
like
really
nature.
good one. Well done.
Thank
good
you.
use of
Thank
new
you.
products.
And then Stanley, I chose the Pilot Varsity because he would participate as minimal as he would need to.
Yep.
And would do as little work as possible.
Yep.
And that's the Pilot Varsity.
Yeah.
But all around decent pen.
Fine. Yeah, it does the job.
Yeah.
It gets the job done.
But no bells and whistles.
Nope.
You're not getting anything.
Bare minimum.
Anything more than the minimum.
That's really well done.
Thank you.
You had some good picks.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thank you. That was a fun question.
Yeah, that was solid.
Thank you,
Justice.
Justice. Yeah. All right. Moving on, Drew.
All right. This is from Cats753. This isn't a topic suggestion, but a suggestion for your next company anniversary. Since the ink splotch is no longer the original color, how about having it produced to celebrate your anniversary and maybe having a special bottle for your employees? Oh.
I mean, we could do that. We've sort of done that already.
So we mentioned a couple episodes ago, if you weren't listening to that this splatter, our logo, was originally Diamine Presidential Blue, but then got
really,
photoshopped again and again and rescanned and
That's
re-edited.
What we used to make the original.
So it hasn't actually looked like Presidential Blue in 10 plus years.
Yeah, and now it's never looked like it really.
Yeah.
I mean, but even the shading properties of it are not even the same anymore because now it's a full digital rendering. So it's basically got nothing.
So that's what what Cats
original.
means by the fact that it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, so when we did New Year's Liberty's Elysium, that was sort of modeled after our Goulet Blue. And then the most recent pen that we just talked about, the Blue Skies with Monteverde, that ink, we literally used our hex code for that. So we've kind of done that with a couple of brands already.
And Blue Skies is pretty much as close as you can get to our logo.
But we haven't done like an explicitly like anniversary branded one. It's been, an exclusive that we've had that's basically been branded under the whatever the ink maker is. So that could be different. That's certainly a thought. I don't know. I'm open to that. But a special bottle for employees, I don't even know what that would look like. But we'd have to decide like what brand to go with. The tough thing about it is usually when you're getting ink, you got to get it in pretty significant quantities if you're looking at anything exclusive, let alone custom like packaging and stuff like that. So we would have to buy way more bottles than would make sense just for our team, or at least our team would have to take like 40 bottles each or something crazy just because we have to make pretty big commitments when we do it. But I mean, an anniversary
and we've got
could make sense.
And we've got varying degrees of fountain pen interest in our team. You've got the complete just crazy people. You've got the casual interest people. You've got the I have my pen and I'm happy with it people. And then you've got the they're okay people.
Yeah, it's not a requirement for people to be bought and sold in love with fountain pens to work here. It helps, especially in certain roles. But I mean, it's okay. We're not going to let somebody go.
But we would
they don't
want
use a pen every day.
Any exclusive ink we have, we would want to share it with everybody, not just
sure,
the people here.
For sure. So yeah, I don't know. What brand would you all want to see? I mean, we could like white label something and make it our own brand, and we're not going to like try to become ink masters. We would have somebody make it, and we could just brand it ourselves. That gets tough, especially with bottles, because when you talk, so I have talked to a lot of different ink makers. You want to talk about bottles to do like a custom bottle, you're talking ridiculous quantities, like tens of thousands with a lot of bottles.
So you basically have to commit to starting an ink company.
Yeah. Or what you have to do is you have to either work with an existing ink company that's using bottles, which then it's like, well, if we're going to use a shape of a bottle that everybody will recognize, why not just brand it with that brand as well? Or you have to take a bottle from like another industry, either in like cosmetics or food service or something like that, and then kind of like adapt that.
That's what I was thinking. Like you have all these knockoff fragrances at the drugstore. If you wanted to get like a, knockoff Boss cologne or something like that.
Smells like Hugo Boss. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
But we'd put some ink in it.
I mean, that's an option. Remember, there's a cologne I bought Sam years ago called Bros. I think it was a knockoff of like...
It was Boss.
Yeah, it was Hugo Boss, right? But it was shaped like a grenade.
Bros?
So a Bros cologne shaped like a grenade. And I was like, this is so tacky. I bought it as a joke.
He kept it on his desk. He might still have it in there.
He might still have it. And then I found they had a Bros Midnight. The Bros Midnight version. Actually, I don't know if the original Bros was grenade shaped. Maybe it was Bros Midnight that was grenade shaped. I don't remember. Ugh. But either way, it was just funny. So anyway, yeah, we could do something like that. I don't know. These are all good ideas, food for thought. But I don't know. I'm kind of curious. We've never... It's on being honest with you, I'm pretty terrible when it comes to like celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and things like that. So
I say for a Pencast exclusive ink, it can be brown ink with hold on, blue shimmer, Brian.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not a good combo.
It is a good combo. It's beautiful. I included you, Brian. I don't feel like you're appreciative.
I was thinking, what if you reverse that into like a blue ink with brown shimmer?
Yeah.
Or I guess you'd have to it'd be like a copper.
You want to put the more popular color front and center. So brown predominantly, and then sprinkle in a little bit blue for the hipsters that like that color.
What would that end up looking like? Because they would kind of mush together.
I'll tell you exactly what it would look like. It would look like Diamine Winter Spice, just without the green sheen.
I don't know if that's what it would look like. We'll have to try this.
That is a brown ink with blue shimmer and green sheen.
Okay.
It is beautiful.
I will take your word for it.
You need to use that ink and get back to me on that.
I have not used that ink yet. I can't judge.
It is gorgeous.
I can't judge until I've used
gorgeous.
it.
And if you don't agitate your ink properly and you run out of the blue sheen, you've still got a brown ink that shades green. It is lovely. It is earthy. It makes you one with terra firma. You are just having tea with Gaia. It is a delight.
Wow. You're really selling it here.
Telling you.
All right.
Also butter popcorn. Have you used that one yet?
I have used butter popcorn.
Amen.
That one's a good one.
Attaboy.
That was a good one.
All right.
Golden Sands is better, but different strokes for different folks. All right. I got a question for you, Drew.
Bring it.
This is from Juan Cisneros.
Hello.
How have the custom ground nibs been selling, and which is the most sold custom ground nib / pen that you carry? And then which are your favorite custom ground nibs in your collection? And that's good because you definitely have some interesting custom ground nibs.
I have a few.
That are things that we've never sold. So
I have a few, yeah.
These are two very different questions.
Well, to answer your question, they've been great. They have sold really well, and so well, in fact.
For when we've had them.
Yeah, when we've had them. So right now, I will tell you, we have a bunch of custom ground nibs on Esterbrook Estes, both in the Botanical Gardens color and the Nouveau Blue color. We also offer on the Homo sapiens Bronze Age a couple of custom nibs done by Mark Bacchus. So we've got quite a few, and I'm really, really thrilled that we have those bunches. I will say that as far as what the most popular is, I mean, you probably have to say the Mark Bacchus Homo sapiens at this point because we've had it for so long. Like,
it's been one of the more
we've had that
ones,
for years. Mm-hmm. So
like
that is our current longest running one. So that is available in a fine CSI and a medium CSI, and those are CSIs standing for cursive, smooth, italic. So there is some like a stub nib is kind of rounded, but still gives you flat downstrokes and thin cross strokes, and an italic is like a sharper version of that. This one's kind of in between that, so you still get that solid line variation, but it's not as crispy and sharp as an italic. It's more smooth. But so that one's great. But just in the past year, we've had some really interesting shakeups in the whole custom nib department, and that came from Esterbrook. So Esterbrook did an amazing thing, and I will say this for Esterbrook and its parent company, Kenro. They work so hard to remain plugged in to the community, more so than I think any other fountain pen manufacturer representative does. And one thing they did was partner with a bunch of independent nib professionals. So CY from Tokyo is grinding a nib of his creation called the Techo nib that you can find on these Esterbrook Estes. That is a variable nib that produces a different line width depending on the angle that you write it. You have Josh Lax, who is creating the Scribe nib. That is also for Esterbrook. You've got, let's see, the Scribe nib. That is that's like a stubby italic sort of thing. I kind of forget what that one is. Kirk Spear does a needle point for them, and that is what it sounds like. It's a very, 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 very. The Scribe nib is like an Architect. It's a modified Architect.
Right.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
So modified Architect from Josh Lax, needle point from Kirk Spear, and Gina Salarino from Custom Nib Studio has their nib, which is a journaler nib, and that is the stubby. It's like a really narrow stub, not unlike Mark Bacchus' CSI. I thought.
Yeah, it's like their own take on the.
It's like a fine,
CSI.
like a fine italic. All of them are so much fun to write with. So those nibs, as well as Mark Bacchus' CSI on the Homo sapiens, deliver a different, unique writing experience as far as the actual stroke on the paper. But the best thing about them is that they all write consistently and really well because they have been hand-tuned by somebody who has an eye for detail, a commitment to quality, and the experience to actually make it happen. And that's what I love most about all of these. Not the actual experience, but the fact that you get a fountain pen at its finest because a person has actually touched it and made it so. Not to say that a lot of fountain pens can't come right out of the, factory, what's the assembly line is what I tried to say. Perfect and fine, it happens for sure. But it can always be made better. Always can be made better by a nib specialist. And these are them. And you can actually get them without having to queue in their line at a pen show or queue on their website and ship stuff out. Like, I just love that Esterbrook has made these available. And Mark Bacchus has committed to supplying us with these Homo sapiens for a while. As far as what my favorite is, I love writing with a Techo nib. That's a super fun nib to write with. It's got a really cool imprint too, which I personally love. But it's kind of hard to say to not recommend the Homo sapiens by Mark Bacchus above all of them because for that pen, the allure of the Homo sapiens Bronze Age, and then to make that plunge at that high price point on what a lot of people consider to be a grail pen, and then pay just for, what's the word where something is, oh God. Anyway, in relation to the price of the nib, Mark Bacchus' additional fee is relative.
Yes.
To pay a relatively small fee.
There you go.
To make sure that very expensive pen writes perfectly. Yeah. Like that's what you want. That is a steal to be able to know that you're buying a Homo sapiens that is going to sing on the paper. Like, man.
Well, and plus too, the stub version that Visconti offers is a 1.3 millimeter.
That's a hefty boy.
It's a bit wide for most folks. It's not a super popular size. Like, there's a reason why most stub nibs are going to be 1.1 or 1.0.
Yeah.
So you definitely get like a finer, more all around, I would say, usable stub nib with Mark Bacchus.
And it is tuned to perfection.
Yeah.
And that I love that. I can't advocate enough for that. So as far as what I have personally, I've got a few. My favorite has to be a nib that I did purchase secondhand, and the grind was done by nibs.com. This was so it was either done. It could have been done by Gina Salarino or John Matashaw. I don't know who exactly did it, but it was a modification done to add flex to a Pilot 912 FA nib. So it was an interesting modification because they didn't carve anything out of the sides. They actually thinned out the whole front section of the nib by grinding away the bottom face of the nib.
Oh, wow.
So they just made it thinner, so it was more bendy. And then they also...
That's tough. That's tough to do.
Yeah, it looks
Consistently.
It looks challenging.
Yeah.
And then, but it didn't affect the actual top face of the nib at all.
Right.
You only see it if you take it off the feed.
Huh.
And then they ground down the tip to be a double extra fine. So it is a needle point, like writing with the tip of a knife, but with flex.
Wow.
It is
Must just feel so smooth on the paper.
It's absolutely not, but it is my favorite nib. It's my favorite pen. It's the one that I sent off to get Urushi.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
By far my favorite pen, by far my favorite nib. Like that's why I sent it to get Urushi modified, is because I loved it so much. I wanted a little bit more personality in it.
That's cool. That's really cool. Mine is a much more boring choice than yours.
Okay.
I chose the one that you've been talking up the whole time, the Mark Bacchus CSI grind on the Homo sapiens.
It's fantastic.
Just, in terms of like just all around good usable nib, that one's cool. I do have a really cool nib. The name of it fails me, but it was one that Ralph Reyes had done years ago, and it was like 3 nibs like stacked welded onto each other. I can't remember the name of it, but he said it took him something like 150 hours or something crazy like that because he just kept ruining nibs. Jeez. And like this was years ago when I went to the San Francisco show.
I knew he had one called a Tomahawk, and I know he had one called a Ragnarok, I think, but I don't know if either of those were stacked.
It might have been.
I think those just had a bunch of cuts out of them.
It might have even been before those or sometime around that. But this was a stacked one. I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm sure I've written it down somewhere. But it was like a stacked. So he basically took like kind of like the front section of nib and kind of like chopped it off, so it's like very elegant looking too, but it's like a stack thing, so it ends up being sort of like a like the Techo or like the Naginata Togi, like that kind of a thing, like a variable thing, but it's just like super, it's like an architect nib on steroids. You can write this swath. It's almost like when you take a pilot parallel, and just like write with it real wide. It kind of does that.
That's amazing.
And it just dumps a ton of ink. But it's really cool, especially because like knowing how much time and effort he put into it. In fact, when I bought that from him, he was like, "Yeah, I'm probably never going to make another one of these because it's just the defect rate is so high. It's just not worth it." So it's kind of cool.
And he hasn't been making a lot recently, so that thing's probably worth some money.
Well, it doesn't matter because I'm not selling it.
Nor should you.
Yeah. So that one's really cool, but I don't like use that every day, especially because it's like such a custom thing. So I can't replace it. So I'm just that's more of a collectible kind of a thing. Yeah. Cool. All right. Moving on.
Final question this week comes to us.
This one's a doozy of a question.
This is from Rowie, and Rowie allowed us a little pronunciation guide, so I appreciate that from them.
Always grateful.
So this is a long one, so I'm not going to read the entire thing, but Rowie essentially is mentioning that they, for quite a while, have been using Private Reserve Cosmic Cobalt for 90% of everything that they write. So Rowie is curious about just the benefit of using one ink and identifying, because a lot of times, and this is just kind of, there's not really a question in here that's solid, but I thought that it was a really interesting point that Rowie brings up, and that 7 years ago, they've just fell in love with Cosmic Cobalt. They said, this is my ink. And
they want it to be like their trademark.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Their trademark.
When somebody reads something they wrote, they know it's theirs because it's their color.
And we talk a lot about how the fountain pen experience can be a very intimate experience. It can be a very expressive experience. And most of the time, when you really get into the hobby, you become interested in trying more and using more and figuring out what you like the most. And if you're like me, you never actually figure that out. Like, I don't have a favorite ink. I don't.
It's a journey. Yeah,
like, not at all. Not even close. Like, when I first started out, I absolutely did. And then it changes to a different one. Then it changed to a different one. And then now I'm like, I can't even.
But you have some that like float to the top, right?
But then next year it's going to be different. So that's. But I like it that way. I prefer it that way. But I wanted to know if you saw any merit, or if you could ever imagine saying, you know what, maybe the personal nature could be enhanced by saying, this is my thing. This one ink is my Brian Goulet ink, and it is going to, the more I use it exclusively, the more it's going to mean to me, and then thereby enhancing your fountain pen experience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I can see merit to that. I mean, you and I in our position is a little harder to do that because, obviously we have new inks coming out all the time, and part of what
I would be worse at my job if I did that.
Yeah, I mean, we would just like not be able to talk about any new inks that come out. But I can certainly see the appeal from two sides. I can see it's like, I don't know, I think about like somebody like whatever, I don't know how true this is, but I believe it's like Einstein had like one type of suit. So that he just woke up in the morning and didn't have to think about what he was wearing that day.
I've thought about that.
I can see some merit to that.
I do that with my socks.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I buy all the same socks.
Same black socks.
Yep.
Nice.
I trained Joseph on that too.
I don't want to deal with matching socks.
No.
Mm-mm.
Old socks, new socks, whatever. One gets a hole in it, I just throw out that one sock and I just match it up with another one.
I looked into that one day about a guy who had one outfit. And it was a very sturdy button-up shirt. It was white.
Okay.
Not quite canvas, but you could feel the material. Like, I didn't feel it, but you could see.
Like a linen?
Yeah.
Like a heavy linen
Like
shirt?
a heavy linen, exactly.
Okay.
So long sleeve shirt with a very particular short sleeve shirt, a short sleeve tee over that, and then a pair of, I think they were like cargo pants sort of deal. They look kind of like hiking pants, I mean, so very practical.
That's a good choice.
But his choice of the long sleeve shirt, covered a lot of bases. You could cuff it up. It was pretty versatile. Mm-hmm. And I definitely saw the appeal of that. Yeah. But obviously I like to wear things that are a little bit more expressive. So,
right.
But I definitely see the appeal. And it's interesting that you can go one extreme and express yourself using all sorts of different stuff. But then you can go to the other extreme, only using one thing, and that can be just as expressive.
It becomes like your identifying thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see merit to that. I really can. I question in today's age how necessary that is. Like, I think the fact that you write anything by hand at all is pretty distinctive.
That's fair.
Let alone like your handwriting is going to be, what in the world was that? Alex is throwing stuff at us here. I don't know if you could hear that on the mic or whatever, but I was like,
one of our photographers just had a magnifying glass hit the door.
Hit the door, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I would.
Good job, Sherlock.
So I would say I totally lost my train of thought with all that. Where was I, Drew?
In this day and age, it's not necessary. Your handwriting alone is going to be unique.
Your handwriting alone, let alone the fact that you're writing with a fountain pen, is even more distinctive from probably most other people you know in your life, let alone a very specific and consistent ink choice. I mean, I think that would definitely be distinctive, but I think you don't have to go that narrow to still accomplish the same kind of distinctiveness in other people's eyes. Because, it's just not that broadly, like, people aren't that broadly familiar with fountain pens and all the different color variations of ink and stuff. So I think I can see the merit for sure. I think it definitely makes your life easier because you're like, well, this is my ink. This is what I use. And this is like common. I hear this all the time.
Yeah, and I've also heard this thing about brands too. Like, I stick within this brand.
Sure.
It's easier. There's less of an overwhelming feel.
I like
when you
it.
go
I know
shopping.
what it is. Yeah. It works well in all my pens, that kind of a thing. Yeah, I think there's, in fact, these days I would say there's a lot more people that bounce around and use different types of inks because there's so many options and cool stuff coming out. When we first started Goulet Pens, it was much more common, especially for people that had some pen experience that discovered us because we were we were talking about new products and stuff like that. It was much more common for them to be like, well, I've used, Parker Quink Black for 30 years and I've never used anything else. Now their motivations may have been different. It was just either habit or what was available or whatever, but like that was much more common, I feel like, years ago in the fountain pen world. So that is nothing unfamiliar of people just like finding something they like and sticking with it.
Yeah.
And that's them.
Waterman
Blue Serenity Blue. Yeah, exactly. There's something to that. But
it's definitely not as common as it used to be though.
I don't feel like that's today's like fountain pen user, like somebody gotten into fountain pens in the last 5 years, maybe even 10 years. It's not the norm as much anymore. I think because you have so many options.
Like I remember speaking a lot to these, legacy users when we first started, doing this. We did get requests like, hey, Schaefer Red is what I use for grading papers. Parker Quink Blue Black, or Waterman Serenity Blue, Mysterious Blue.
Or I've used Aurora Black or whatever, and that's it.
And then when we eventually discontinued all of those, and then, every now and then we would still get people like, why don't you have Waterman Blue? But now we don't get anyone asking.
Almost nobody.
Nobody.
We get somebody casually being like, why don't you carry Waterman?
Right, but it's not a big deal when they're like, oh my God, I can't believe
there's just so many other options.
No, and the whole hobby has changed. Like the whole landscape.
I think the visual medium of social media has had a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
a lot. To
almost
do with that.
certainly.
And just the ubiquity.
Yeah.
Ubiquitousness sounds in like an excessive number of syllables. The ubiquity of just information that's available and resources that people can, small independent ink makers can make stuff, and people are just pushing the boundaries, and dye availability and stuff like that is probably greater. So there's just a lot more options. So yeah, I would say there's merit to it. I think you don't have to go that narrow. But if you do, I don't think you're in bad company. I think there's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah. If you are one of those people, please let us know. If you have an ink that you just identify with, like, this is my signature ink. Like if you were a pro wrestler and you had your special move that everybody knows, like, oh my God, they've used the
sledgehammer.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to actually
suplex.
That's the buttered popcorn. My God, somebody stop him. Then let us know if someone sees something on the paper like, oh, I bet that's Brian Goulet who wrote that right there. Blue water ice.
That's right. I kind of have some distinctive inks that I've leaned towards.
You definitely do.
Mine's more color themed though. Yeah. I will say though, the downside is Private Reserve went away for a few years.
Oh,
and then it came back.
I bet you Rowley was concerned around that time.
This does happen. Companies will discontinue colors. I remember more so in the early days of Goulet pens, but we would get people who were like, I used Schaefer Peacock for forever. And it was like
Peacock?
Yeah, it was discontinued like a long time ago.
I've never even heard of that one.
They were like, I need a replacement because that color is just exactly, I want the exact color and properties of it. And I was like,
Do you remember how long people were like searching for an analog for Penman Sapphire?
Parker Penman Sapphire. It's basically organic studio nitrogen. That's pretty much what it is.
That's another thing that people don't ask about anymore. Penman's, the lure of Penman Sapphire, nobody talks about that anymore.
Well, it was like discontinued 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So you just can't find it anymore. And they've come out with a lot of other inks that are basically the same thing.
Yeah, there's so many.
And Parker Penman Sapphire was a pain. Like it was sort of like a Bay State Blue where like the chemistry of it was totally different. And it would really mess up your pens if you mixed it with other inks and stuff. So that's why Parker discontinued this. This is a deep dive on something that you didn't even ask about, but the whole Parker Penman line, they were really cool colors with like intense sheens and stuff, but they were like more basic instead of acidic. And so like, they were kind of like the Bay States. They were a little bit troublesome. And so they just caused too many problems in pens. So Parker just was like, nope, I don't care that you like the color.
Then that made people like, oh, I want that.
Oh, I want it now. Now that I can't have it, I want it. And then there's a lot of other options now. Diamine Majestic Blue is kind of close. Certainly nitrogen is probably the closest, heaviest, sheeniest. Probably Reserve Electric DC Blue, that's pretty similar too. So, and they're all pretty popular colors. Anyway, so the downside is if you're like, this one color defines who I am for the rest of my life, you're putting all your eggs in that basket. So you better stock up on that ink, which you certainly can. I mean, you can get 10 bottles of it and you'll probably last the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Very, very attainable in most things. Or you can just say, whatever, if it gets discontinued, I can find something else that's close enough, and just continue on, because certainly if you change your slightly shade of a specific color that you use, no one's going to notice. It's just going to be you. So you can just kind of adapt in that. So anyway, yeah, I see the appeal, but to each their own, just like everything else in this hobby. All right. That's what we got as far as Q&A questions for this week. If you want to ask us questions in the comments, you certainly can, or you can email us at pencast@gouletpens.com if you are listening in your ears to us without your eyes. All right. Pen Spotlight, I think, is next, Drew.
It is.
We're going to show you.
It's going to be a special one.
A pen. Yep. All right, Drew.
All right. I'm a little nervous about this because I know I'm not going to get the color right.
This color is not going to be right. Just right off the bat.
All right, hang on. Hang on, don't do anything yet. Yeah, this color is just not going to be right. It is a teal, but teal just doesn't come across.
It looks more blue than green, at least on your phone monitor or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll put up some pictures so that you
this
can.
is the what
see
are we even talking
real
about,
thing.
Drew? The Iguana Blue.
You just got a new pen, Brian. Well, actually, I don't
did.
know if you've written this one off yet, but you will.
I will have written it off by the time these words enter your ears. So comes in the cool little Quaco tin. Not all of them come in a tin. Do all the All Sports come in a tin?
Yes, they do.
Okay. They had been pretty inconsistent about the tin thing for a while, but I guess that's better now. The All Sports, the regular ones don't really come in anything special, but the All Sports do. This color just friggin' rocks my socks off.
It does.
I love this.
And again, don't trust what you're looking at right now on YouTube. Look at the images on our website, but
Right.
it is more. Right now, you're seeing something
But you
that
can
looks
see like
turquoise.
some of the shiny.
but
You
it's
can see
definitely
like
teal.
that. So this fits into that awesome like anodized aluminum kind of matte but shiny. Just same thing with like the Lamy All Star, Diplomat Aero. You get this like gorgeous kind of glowing finish on the metal that I love. And this color in particular, if I wasn't so into like the mid-range blue, like the cobalt kind of Goulet Blue, this would probably be my like color that
Yeah.
I do for everything. Because this color also evokes an emotion in me, just not as strong as the Goulet Blue does. But this one, I really, really like this color a lot. So if you're familiar with Quaco pens, it's nothing revolutionary.
Oh, I think
It's
I got
just
it better, Brian.
the color.
I
Did you get
adjusted.
it?
I
All
adjusted
right,
my
I'm not gonna breathe. I'm not gonna move.
No, it's cool. I just adjusted my white balance.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We're good. All right, so this is a much more accurate color that you're looking at now if you're on YouTube.
There you go. Gold trim, I guess. It's just the gold finial and the gold plated nib. It's a stainless steel nib, but it's gold colored. Let's see. All Sport. So it is made of aluminum.
It's a really
nice.
interesting finish, though. It's not.
Yeah, it's like powdery.
It's like soft.
It does feel a little soft.
I feel like
It's not slippery like most metal.
Whenever I handle a Kaweco All Sport, I feel like it has. I feel like I always feel a surprise that it's not cold and hard.
Yeah.
For a metal pen.
It's soft and warm.
Yeah. Is that weird? Am I lying?
No, I don't think so. So there you can see it's like shinier. See, I don't know if I would be it would still look cool if it was shiny like that, the whole thing. But it would look like a very different pen.
Very.
I just love the softness of this finish.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
I'm kind of a sucker for this anodized.
If you ever get
finish.
an opportunity to visit a pen show and hold a Kaweco All Sport, you'll see what we're talking about.
Well, it depends which one, because they do make them in different metals. So they
right,
have
so
aluminum.
not any of the raw stuff. We're talking about the colored ones.
So if they make a brass version. They've made, I think, a stainless steel or a steel version.
Are those still called All Sports?
I think so.
Weird.
I don't know. You might
I
have
thought
to
they were
check
like
me on
brass
that.
sport.
You know what? You might be right about that.
But then there
It
is
might be
a
brass.
raw aluminum All Sport though,
Yes.
and that one is shiny. That was not coated like these are.
It's different. Yeah. Yeah. It's shiny. It's more like tumbled
Yeah,
instead of this because it's still raw
it's
aluminum.
not powder coated.
But it's not a shiny. Well, they make a shiny aluminum version, and they make one that's more of a tumbled. I don't
Okay,
remember.
I'm thinking of the shiny one. I don't know if we carry the tumbled ones anymore.
I don't know either. This is bad, but whatever. We're talking about the Iguana Blue.
The colored ones, yeah.
I like this. Iguanas are cool. I have no particular love for them.
I don't think they're this color either.
I don't think so. No, they're more like fuddy brown, green, brown, muddy looking.
Fuddy brown.
Like, I don't know what that means, but now the thing with this, so I'm not usually like a super pocket pen guy. I have big hands. Smaller pens like this are not like always the best. I thought I brought my converter. Did I bring it?
I didn't see your converter.
I brought a Quaco mini converter.
Did you though?
I'm doubting myself now. I thought I brought it. I guess I didn't. Well, maybe we'll put a picture over top because I thought I brought one and forgot. Oh well.
You do have limited converter
So
options.
you do. It takes a standard international short cartridge, which is what you see right here.
Hey.
The mini converter is about half the ink capacity of this. So it's not great.
No.
Honestly, just filling cartridges or just using cartridges is probably the better way to go. But you can use that little mini converter if you really are determined. But I wouldn't recommend eyedropper converting these. You can do it technically, but certain inks, especially over time, one of the components of inks is salt, and salt will eventually kind of corrode the finish inside metal pens. So I don't know if it'd be okay with aluminum, but it's just not recommended with any metal pen to eyedropper convert it. So, yeah, there you go. But it comes with one cartridge. Comes with the pen. Nib options, I got the extra fine one because that was what we had the most of on the shelf.
We figured out today that Brian did not previously own an All-Sport.
I didn't have a single All-Sport
I don't
in my
either,
collection.
but you should have.
Yeah, but I have like everything.
Yeah.
So the fact that and I love this color. I think it was one of those that just like as soon as it came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this color. But we knew it was going to sell out really fast. So I didn't get one right away because I was like, I want people to be able to get this pen. I can wait. I have pens. I have plenty of pens. And then I just sort of forgot and never got around to it. And I was like, I was like, Drew, I think I have one of these. No, I never did. But anyway, now I do / will once we actually like take it offline. But Drew grabbed it off the shelf right before the Pencast, and now it's going to be mine.
Because we do most of our preparation minutes prior to this.
I mean, we do a lot of preparation way more in advance, but there's always last minute things.
It's usually about 24 hours in advance, though.
Well, when you do a show every week, you can only prepare but so much, right?
It's all good.
So anyway, there
we
you
go. You know what one of the pens that got away on my list?
What's that?
The Kaweco All-Sport Golden Espresso.
That was a good color too.
I know.
I don't have one of those in my collection.
It looked so pretty.
That was a good looking pen.
I know.
That was a good looking pen.
I know.
A lot of the All-Sports, they've been coming out with some bangers.
They have the lilac one.
The lilac
was really nice.
The rose.
Or no, not lilac. It was violet.
Yeah.
Something violet. Or was it something lilac? Violet? I don't know.
The lilac violet.
It was the purple one.
The violet.
It looked good. And then the rose gold one looks really good too.
The rose gold one. Yeah. They're on it. They're on it.
Yeah,
keep it up, Geico.
You and I both really love the way colored aluminum looks, though.
I do. I'm kind of a sucker for it.
Yeah, same.
It's rare that I find one that I don't find really appealing.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a color that I would normally would be as drawn to.
I do.
Like the TWSBI 580 ALR Sunset Yellow. Yellow's not usually my jam, but put that yellow in like a matte metal finish. I'm like, yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah, is that matte though?
Yeah, I think so. Well, there's a lot of texture going on in that pen, so it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's that whatever.
Yeah, you're right. It's not glossy.
Whatever process. No, it's
I definitely do like matte though.
Yeah.
Like the Lamy All-Star.
Because otherwise the shininess is just like
too much.
It's like calm down.
Yeah.
Just calm down with the shininess.
Yes, it should. Calm down.
All right, cool. Anyway, that's what we got. Iguana Blue, go check them out on our site. We have them.
All right. Now we get to talk about
nonsense.
What's been going on in our fountain pen lives.
That's right. That is part of our little spiel, isn't it?
We say it. We called it.
Drew, I got to say, you're normally very prepared for this segment, and
no,
you're not prepared today.
No, I didn't write. I was like looking through my photos to be like,
did you just like not do a lot?
What did I take a picture of this weekend?
Oh gosh,
I've got a picture of some Neapolitan ice cream.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, somebody, no joke. Look at this.
All right.
Somebody asked me like, what's a fountain pen color combination that you'd like to see? And I just sent him this picture.
Neapolitan.
I want Neapolitan ice cream pen.
Why not? I think that would be good.
Vanilla. Yeah, right? It doesn't exist yet.
I'm sure there's a Neapolitan-ish pen combination somewhere, right?
I don't know.
There's no way. There's no way that could have never been done.
The closest thing that I ever did, I did something similar to it on the Pencast, where I took a vibrant pink All-Star and a coffee All-Star, and I swapped the caps and barrels and made pink and brown pens.
Okay.
Which I love.
Okay.
But I'm missing the white, so not officially Neapolitan. So
okay. I feel like it would need to be like a matte finish too. You couldn't have that shiny.
It should, yeah. So I don't think it's out there, but I want it for sure.
Let us know in the comments if there is a Neapolitan ice cream colored
that Drew needs to pay too much for on eBay, and he will both.
Or maybe we need to make one.
He will give you both gratitude and.
I feel like a Lamy Safari with like a matte finish could be a contender. Because it's got like
you need three of them.
3 different parts.
Yeah, but I don't know if they've ever done a matte brown Safari. Oh wait, no, I have one.
You have a matte brown.
Yeah, the bear.
They've never had a regularly available matte brown
or a matte white. They only had glossy white.
Have they done?
But then again, we're always wrong about this because they've done like a matte everything.
They've done like a matte ivory, which like maybe would be like French vanilla instead of
like the
like
strawberries and cream.
Yeah. Well, the strawberry isn't this. Yeah, strawberry
Strawberry.
and cream.
Yeah.
Two separate pens.
They haven't done a matte pink, though, have they?
Yeah, the pink right now, the light rose. Light rose.
That's not matte, though.
Yeah.
No. It's glossy.
Oh, gosh.
It's glossy.
We should know this. Is it really?
Yeah.
Not?
It's not matte.
Yeah, you might be right.
Shiny.
I'm remembering. No. Yeah, that's shiny.
Shiny.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Have they not done a matte pink?
I don't think so.
Maybe they haven't. I'm like questioning everything in my life right
I know.
now.
They've probably done it. They've probably done everything. Remember how I was like, I wish they did a
Some
concrete
regional,
gray.
some
Yeah, it's
regional,
out there.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
somebody has it.
All right.
But yeah, I'm not prepared. So one thing that I definitely did do is start on my son's Halloween costume.
It's July.
Yep.
Is this required? Like you need this much time in advance?
I might.
Oh boy. What is he?
Well, remember when I made that like full-on armor thing when he wanted to be Nova?
Right.
And I had lights in it and everything?
Yeah.
Not doing lights this time, but I am doing more foam armor for him. So I went to Harbor Freight over the weekend.
Okay.
Bought some more floor pads.
I'm no stranger to Harbor Freight.
Hell yeah. They did not have everything, though. I did need to go to Lowe's to buy some contact cement.
Okay. Yeah.
They had a very small adhesive section. But I got my floor pads because that is what foam cosplay armor is made out of a lot of the times.
Good to know.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm following the same helmet plan that I did for his last costume with
I love that you have a helmet plan.
I do. Yeah, you can buy foam armor templates on Etsy
Wow.
that people have made. Yeah.
Of course, you can.
So this one's going to be slightly different. I'm not going to modify it as much, but one thing I am doing different. He wants to be a character. He knows this character as Slade, who is a character from Teen Titans Go. I know this character as Deathstroke, which is a less kid-friendly name, but he's essentially DC's version of Deadpool. And I say that with an asterisk because Slade/Deathstroke came before Deadpool, so let's get that straight. I'm a DC man, not a Marvel man. Deadpool totally ripped him off. But he's going to be that character for Halloween.
Okay,
and
I'm looking at him right now. First time I've ever seen him in my life.
So the mask is going to have, in some iterations of this character, he has a full head helmet with one eye hole because he is missing an eye. He wears an eye patch. So Archer's only going to have one hole to see out of.
He's committed.
But the helmet needs to be half blue, half orange. And in some iterations, the more realistic depictions of this character, he has carbon fiber on one side. So what I'm going to do is keep the textured side of the floor panel on that side. It's not the one with like the fake diamond plate look. It's the very, very detailed one.
Okay.
And I'm going to have that flipped on the outside to simulate the textured look.
That'll look close enough.
So I'm doing that. Screwed it up royally last night. Had to so all of it needs to be stenciled with, I use gold Sharpie to get my stencils down, and then a razor blade, box cutter to carve the shapes out of the foam, and then contact cement to glue it together very precisely. So it is an effort, but I'm giving myself plenty of time, and by Halloween I should be done because I have to then seal it and paint it, all that stuff. So we're talking shoulder armor, chest armor, thighs, legs. Going to give him some bandoliers,
You're a better father than I.
all of it.
I'm trying to convince my kids that they don't need to go trick-or-treating anymore. They're too old. They're like the size of adults. I'm like, you're just going to look sketchy walking around the neighborhood. Like, you guys are kind of past this.
Oh, well, then you need to throw your own Halloween party and invite friends.
Have you met us? We're not doing that. No way is that happening.
Oh, man.
No.
But I did start that. So that's going to be an ongoing process.
That'll be fun. That sounds fun.
It is fun. I like it a lot.
Is he going to contribute? Because he's probably getting to the age now where he can help some.
He probably could, but the fact that I'm already screwing this up, I'm not.
The blind leading the blind.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not easy,
yeah.
but I'm not going to light it this time. So,
that makes it less complicated.
Yeah, I think so, because that required wiring and soldering and all sorts of stuff. But speaking of ongoing projects, I have been adding more patches to my jacket. Surprise, surprise.
Okay.
I added 2 very large ones because I had the big Karate Kid bonsai plant on the back, but then I allowed space on the back because I knew I wanted a very large Ghostbusters Ecto-1 patch and an equally large DeLorean patch. both of which I finally bought, finally sewed on. So
Nice.
it's getting to look pretty complete.
Yeah?
Thanks to my lack of restraint and self-control and having almost completely filled it up in just 2 months. So I feel good about that kind of. But
yeah.
anyway,
Do you have like an end state in mind for that?
No, it'll be.
Or it's just like once it kind of gets too full.
It'll last forever, and I might start overlapping. I don't know, or removing patches and replacing patches. I don't know.
Overlapping. That sounds like chaos.
It does. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not.
Can you even do that? Like stitch through another patch? That seems.
Hard
to do.
Well, there's always the
the iron-on route or whatever.
No. The oh darn it! Whatever stitch my lovely comment section told me about.
The loop-de-doo.
Not flip stitch. Anyway, doing that. That's great. Hooray for that. I also thought about adding some sounds to my jacket, Brian.
Sounds?
Sounds, yes.
Like actual audio sounds?
Yes.
Okay.
So my son is, or not so much now. He goes through phases. He's been crazy about this TV show called Wild Kratts. I think I've mentioned it before. It's a nature show.
That show I'm familiar with, yeah.
So he had a vest, a creature power vest, that had these little animal inserts you could put in the things. And then one day when he had gone to bed, I had purchased a little circuit with a little tiny speaker that could play a sound. If you got it into your computer, downloaded a sound, recorded the sound directly onto the device. I opened up his vest, sewed this in there so that the middle little paw print, if you pressed it, it would play the transformation sound. And I ripped that off of YouTube, got that in there. So he woke up in the next morning. I was like, hey, push this button. And then all of a sudden it made the transformation sound. So he loved that. I'm going to do that same thing with my jacket. Don't know where the button's going to be. But there's this particular sound that was really popular in, like, I guess the early 90s, the late 80s. The technical sound is called an orchestra hit.
Yeah.
You know that song?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, bam!
Yeah.
I love that sound.
I love it. Orchestra hit on your jacket?
I just want that. Yes. I want to be able to hear that song whenever I want.
Nice.
It just makes me happy. It's heavily featured in Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Oh, yeah.
Bam! And it's heavily featured in the Turtles in Time soundtrack for the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
I like that sound. I'm going to put it somewhere on my jacket because the whole jacket is just stuff I like. I thought about doing like different buttons. Like if you press the Ghostbusters patch, it plays the Ghostbuster theme. If you press but I'm like, I'm just going to be one walking button at that point.
Yeah. Every time you like move or touch something, you're just going to make a bunch of noise.
I can't go that.
So we have an electric piano at home that you can put into orchestra hit mode, and literally every key is just a different orchestra hit.
Yes.
So it's really funny playing like classical songs.
Isn't it a great sound?
It is, but it can be overdone.
I've never heard it overdone, but I'm going to attach it to myself, so maybe I will. I mentioned last week, both to you and you, that I was going to go hatchet throwing with my brothers.
That's
for
right.
my brother's birthday. My brother did have a birthday event. Sadly, he was injured, so we have to postpone the axe throwing. Yes, it would not have been safe for him to throw axes.
Oh, that's too bad.
So we did not to do.
So this wasn't an injury during the hatchet throwing?
No, it was not.
Okay,
that's good. It preceded and probably would have been as further injuries may have occurred if he decided to throw sharp objects.
Well, that's not good.
No, so we didn't do that. We went to hibachi for lunch. Got some Japanese.
Still get some blades
food
near your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we went to see Oppenheimer, and so that was the extent of our event. And it was nice. It was a good time with my brothers. I don't get a ton of opportunities to just kind of be out and about with them.
Yeah.
But fun was had. Oppenheimer was good. It was a very heavy duty movie, as you would expect. A long movie about the invention of the atomic bomb to be. It wasn't. I didn't rush out of the theater being like, I can't wait to see that again.
Yeah.
But I rushed.
Let me see the sequel.
Right. Yeah. You were living in it. Yeah. But I did walk out thinking that was a fine film. That was a excellent piece of cinema for sure. But if I need to watch another Nolan film, it's going to be Prestige probably. If I want to rewatch something, or Interstellar. This one I'm going to need to take a while.
A bit heavy. Yeah.
So, but it was great. We did see it in IMAX, so like the sound was just violent.
Yes.
Like I felt like someone was just punching me in the chest.
I mean, that's
constantly.
like what it was made for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack was startling. Like it would go from just talking in a room and then just a thud just in your soul of a incredibly loud cutaway. Like it was jarring at times, but definitely an experience. Definitely a very good theater experience. I'm glad that I went and saw it in the theater. At home, it would have been sadly watered down. That was nice. And then the next day, this was Sunday, I took Archer to a bike track at Deep Run Park over on Ridgefield. I don't know if you've ever been to that one.
I have.
So they have this, asphalt kind of.
It's like paths.
No, not paths. Like rampy stuff.
That's got a name. I can't remember what it's called, but yes.
Like a pump track, I think.
Pump track, yes, that's what it's called.
I've never heard that term before.
I think it's mainly for skateboarding, so that you can just more or less go continuously.
Oh, gotcha.
So you lift up, and then when you go down, you get down. So it allows you to just go, and you can do it on a bike too, and rollerblades and stuff. But
yeah. There were people rollerblading there. So I took him there because I showed him a picture of it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd like to try that." Now, keep in mind, he just learned how to ride a bike this calendar year.
Okay.
So not a pro at this. I was a little skeptical that he would want to pursue this once he saw it and got out there, and he was definitely hesitant. But after about an hour, he was doing the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, I was really, really impressed. Very proud of him.
Cool.
He is a very safe kid. Like not a kid who falls over a lot or takes unnecessary risks. So he's great at wiping out. He just lets his bike go, raises his hands up, hops off of it. Like he does a great job. He has not once gone down with his bike ever.
Nice.
And he's always been very, very careful, very cautious. So everything went well. It was hot, pretty miserable, but there was an ice cream truck in the parking lot, so we were able to partake. I got an ice cream sandwich, and he got one of those, atrocious, deformed Batman faces.
Bars,
oh yeah.
He
loves it. The worse the face looks, the happier he is. So
which is easy to do because they all look terrible.
Absolutely.
That's great.
So yeah, that was nice. And he started to read manga, which I don't have any experience with, but I'm just happy he's reading. He heard from people at his after school program that thought that the manga One Piece was something that he wanted to read, and it's about pirates.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. I did a little bit of research just to make sure it wasn't like super inappropriate. From what I could gather, it was okay for a 9, almost 10-year-old. I guess he's not almost 10, whatever. So went ahead and, purchased one for him. He blew through it. It was like the collection of the first 3 graphic novels.
Okay.
Blew through it. And now he's on the second one, which is 4, 5, and 6. He's just loving it. Just absolutely loving it. And for a while, we were like, all right, make sure you read some chapter books. But the more we talk to other parents and teachers, we've just kind of moved to the point where if he is reading, that is
reading
good.
Something,
if he is holding a paper book in his hand and reading printed words, it's okay. Especially for the summer, like, we're happy with it. So, and the fact that he is excited about reading, like that's the thing we want to help facilitate.
That's the thing at this age, is just getting them excited about it.
Yeah, and he is very excited. So he's loving it. He's talking about it constantly.
Nice.
So that's the thing. And he's learned how to read, manga backwards because, you have to. Did you know that about these books?
It's like right to left, isn't it? Instead of left to right.
Yeah, and you actually you turn the pages opposite too. So the spine of the book is pointing to the right if you are holding it about to open it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been interesting, but he's been super into that. So it's been neat. Yeah.
Cool.
And I started watching Marvel's Secret Invasion TV show. So it's okay. I finished.
DC guy.
I finished because Shannon's been doing a lot of rehearsals, so I've been watching Star Wars Rebels, which is an animated show. So I finished that. That was excellent. And I had to move on to something, so I'm picking Secret Invasion. It's fine. We'll see. I'm just one episode in.
Okay.
Can't say I'm hooked, but I'll finish it. It's information about the whole Marvel lore. I want to, keep that up. It's always interesting. We'll see.
It's it's popular for a reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
The whole thing, the whole ecosphere.
At this point, it's just kind of like I'm watching it just because I'm invested.
Yeah.
So I'll keep up with it. I don't have anything better to do.
That was like me when I watched Private Practice with Rachel.
Yeah.
I didn't like the show at any point. I was like,
I want to know what happens.
I already know the characters
Yeah.
and let's ride this thing out.
Pretty much.
I like being with Rachel. So I was like,
Yeah, that's me, but with the dogs. Because Archer's asleep, Shannon's at rehearsal.
Yeah.
If I go into the den and play my games,
Yeah.
I don't want them jumping up on the love sack. Because then I have to cover it with something, and I don't want dog smell on that thing. So I stay in the living room and watch TV in there. So it's all right.
All right. Hey, whatever works.
That's pretty much it for not having written down anything. I think I recalled plenty.
You recalled quite a bit. Better than I would have done. I had to think about it. So let's see here. Friday, we took our kids to King's Dominion. Did the water park there for the first time this season.
Pretty hot, right?
It wasn't that bad on Friday. That's part of why we did it. Is because it was like high of 85, and it was a Friday, so it wasn't super crowded.
Nice.
So it was like, okay, this is like our opportunity to go and do it. So we did it, and it was great. And the kids wanted to ride a bunch of things and a bunch of water things. They're not real big on roller coasters at large.
Do you all four ride it at the same time?
Well, these are like water rides, so there's like not that many rides that you can do all at the same time.
Oh, really? There's not like 4-person rides?
There was one, but it was shut down.
Oh, okay.
So we did. They have some that were like tandem tubes and stuff like that. So those we did. We mixed it up with each other.
You do parent kid?
We mixed it up.
Oh yeah,
we mixed it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Rachel and I did one together, and she was like, "Wow, it's a lot faster when you're on the tube." And I was like, "Story of my life. I know nothing else than quickly going down slides. That is my life story."
One of the moments my life flashed before my eyes was when we were at a water park together, and you, myself, and 2 other coworkers.
That's right. It was in one of those like big tube.
We were absolutely over the weight limit.
Group tube things. I don't know about that. No.
We launched down that thing, and it took us on a sharp arc upward, and it arced
one of those
upward,
like tornado-looking ones.
It arced upward so much that the thing started to fold in half.
It did, yeah.
And collapse. And I'm on the bottom, and I see.
In that particular instance, I was on the top, which is not the most ideal way.
I see 2 not insignificant humans folding toward me.
That was fun.
Luckily, it descended right before it actually folded in half.
That was fun.
Was it?
Yeah, it was fun.
God.
I love free fall feeling.
Oh,
so like
sir.
Those are my favorite roller coasters. Yeah.
No, sir.
I want to go fast, and I want free fall. I don't like the ones that are super jerky. I don't like getting spun around like crazy so much.
No. I don't like any of that.
But I like fast and free fall.
I like very slow boats on tracks.
Lazy river.
Yes.
Those types of things. Yeah. We did plenty of that too. But it was fun. Yeah, I did like the body slide that's just like straight down like 6 stories. Just a wedgie maker. Yep, I did that. That was fun.
Oh my God.
I hadn't done that in a long time, and I was like, let's see if I still got it. And it gave me such a wedgie. It was
no injuries.
Incredible. No injuries.
I call that a victory.
It was fun. I can go fast down a water slide. I'll tell you that much. That was fun. So that was really cool. We did that, and then let's see here. I took a big dump trip. So had all that stuff that I got from my sister's place, plus some of my own stuff. It was kind of the point where it was like, okay, we have like a little local transfer station that I can bring stuff to, but like if you bring like too much, like especially like wood and stuff like that there, they like, you really might need to go up to like where the county courthouse is to that dump. You know,
yeah.
So I was like, let me just proactively take it there to like, save the hassle. So I did, but what that did is I don't go up that way very often, but it brought me back to both of our previous Goulet Pens locations.
Oh, wow.
So both like our old house
where
you first started out, and then our old office before
you crossed over the tracks?
Yeah, so I like did the whole thing, and I saw both our places. I was like, hey, there's that place. And just like seeing all the things that had changed. And even though it's in the same city, I don't go up that way that very often. So it was just kind of fun, just getting to see the old stomping grounds.
It's very likely that Shannon was right over there at Hanover Tavern while you...
Oh, I passed right by it, so I didn't know.
Yeah,
actually,
constant rehearsals.
Could have said, hey. And I, last week, did go hatchet throwing.
I know! Tell us about that.
Knife throwing and spear throwing and like shuriken throwing.
Oh my God.
And this other thing, I forget what it was called, but it was basically like a big metal frisbee that's just all blade. So I got to throw that too.
Dang.
that seemed hazardous, but I mean, I
So it was
guess they
sharp
all are.
all the way around, even where you were holding it?
Yeah, you had to kind of hold it. I mean, it wasn't like super sharp,
All right.
but you had to kind of like hold your thumb on the inside of it, and then you wrap your hands around it, but you're not like grabbing onto the blade. You're holding onto more of the sides of it, and then you sort of fling it like off your thumb.
So not like a
Your
frisbee.
fingers. No, you're not chucking it like this. You're throwing it like overhand, kind of like that. So still very hazardous, but
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun. I found out that I like throwing sharp things. Rachel, she's usually on board with my crazy ideas, but this she just did not. She just does not understand. So what happened? Of course,
It was a company sponsored event.
It was a company.
though.
Yeah, it was a company thing.
She didn't approve of the company sponsored event?
No, she was fine. She didn't go.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't into
So what
that.
didn't she approve of?
Well, this is where I'm going with this story.
Oh,
so
God.
I had never done anything like this.
Oh God.
But I have hatchets at home.
Oh God.
And like part of you go and you do it and then you get instruction. And I was like, oh, this is fun and it's not that hard. All I need is like something to throw it at. And I could do this at home. So I built my own hatchet target.
Oh, you built that?
Yeah.
I saw a picture, but I assumed that was like from. Didn't you say like Ellie was wanting to do archery or something like that?
Well, that too. So
Hold on. So the target you didn't already have that.
no, I built it.
I assumed it was from Ellie.
No.
You built that to throw hatchets at?
I built that.
You spray painted the thing on it and everything?
Yeah, I built it.
That same day?
It's just so, yeah, I did.
You went home.
I went
You
home.
went to throw axes
Yes.
professionally. Then you went home, built a wooden target,
Yep.
spray painted a bullseye on it,
Yep.
and threw more hatchets.
Yep. This is what Rachel doesn't understand.
I mean,
'cause
that's awesome. That's
So it just so happens that like some of the like old fence stuff that I took from my sister's place, it's all like, 5.5, 6 inch wide boards that are like 3/4 of an inch thick. They're already all like old and that kind of stuff anyway. I was going to throw them out. So I was like, well, before I throw them all out, I hadn't gone to the dump yet. So I was like, before I throw them all out, let me just like glue them all together and put them on a stand and throw hatchets at it and see if it works. See if I like doing this enough. Turns out I like doing it.
yeah.
So I built the hatchet stand.
Wow.
So like Rachel's
oh
just
my
like,
God, my face hurts.
so I was like, it was getting to the point. Okay. So there's that. So there's the hatchet thing. And then I did go and buy throwing knives too, because I didn't want to just throw hatchets. Throwing knives are pretty cool too. So
How
I bought
soon after the initial hatchet throwing did you start buying throwing knives?
I bought that. Well, see, I built the hatchet. That was on Wednesday. And then it was on Saturday on my dump trip. I stopped by Bass Pro Shops and got some throwing knives.
I'm surprised they had throwing knives there.
And the bow and arrow. So the bow and arrow is,
You bought a bow and arrow too.
it's related but separate. But yes, I just got in a throwing mood, I guess, or a shooting throwing mood. I've wanted to teach my kids archery for a long time, because like you mentioned doing it with Archer, and I remember being a kid at like summer camp and like learning how to shoot bow and arrow. And it was like very satisfying.
Yeah, I love shooting bow and arrow when I was a kid.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I wasn't gonna get like a really nice thing, but it's like you can get starter, bow and arrow type things. So they had like a starter kit, kind of like it's like a very simple compound bow with arrows and all the stuff.
Something that you and the kids can handle?
Yeah, it's like,
Okay.
so that's the thing, is like if it was like a youth bow and arrow thing, then it would be like, I can't use that. That's too small for me.
If you want a big ass like freaking 50-pound pull recurve, let me know.
Oh, I might be interested in that.
I just kept it because it was my grandfather's. I don't want it. It's too heavy. I've used it before, but it's a Browning. It's a really nice bow. Needs to be restrung.
Okay.
But it is a beast.
Okay.
Like it's nice.
I will talk to you about this.
No, you can have it.
It's
about this. Been in the attic for years. I have no use
see,
for
like
it, but I
that,
want to get rid of it.
That, like, I mean, I may very well do that because now
I'll bring it. You can have it. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Didn't know. But the kids, like, they can't use something like that.
Yeah.
And like they're too big now for like a youth bow, like something like a 7 or 8.
Oh no, this is a perfect Brian bow.
Well, I wanted something that the kids could use,
Yeah.
but that also I could use. And they're at the age now where I'm like, oh, we could get like a larger starter bow and arrow thing. And so I picked one of those up along with throwing knives.
Wow.
And then it was like, okay, you can buy like archery targets, like they have these blocks of like foam and whatever, but they're like $80-$90.
You're talking about those like yellow jacket or
Yeah,
bee
whatever.
thing. They're like
They
yellow
get
and red.
so expensive.
Yeah, the
And
one I was looking
like,
at was $75.
and I was like, well,
It's just like, I know it's got that sort of,
it's like that dense, like the Kaizen foam, I think is what it's called.
Well,
where it's like,
the outside texture is that it's like what some sort of like like sacks that you would find in like rice and coffee beans, so that you can puncture it and then you can like mess it up and refill the hole.
Sure.
So that's an important thing to have because a hole is not a permanent hole.
Right.
So I get that.
I get it.
But it's still, man, like, and also I don't know where, I don't have a place to put it.
Yeah.
It's a big cube.
That doesn't get smaller.
No.
Well, so I was like, all of this is like, I don't know my kids are going to be into this. They've never tried it, but they're not doing like a summer camp or anything. So it's like, I want to expose them to some of this stuff, but it's like, okay, how can I do this, so that if they're not into it, I could still use it, or they could, try it again later, whatever, but it's minimal investment. So I was like, well, when I learned, 30 years ago, we just used hay bales.
Yeah.
And then just put targets on hay bales, and hay bales work perfectly. And I was like, well, it's a place right down the street where I can get hay bales.
I got a hay guy.
So I went and got some hay bales. So now I was like looking at it and I was like, I have my pickup truck with a trailer filled with garbage that I hadn't taken to the dump yet. I have this hatchet throwing stand and hay bales all in our yard. And I was like, Rachel, I'm sorry. We're getting like increasingly more like rural, like rednecky in our yard. It's like, all I need is like a car up on blocks and I'll just be a big stereotype.
No,
like,
you're too. No, you've got a shed with a tiled floor, Brian. You're still a fancy country man.
Yes, whatever cross section there is there, country bougie or whatever it is. But anyway, sometimes I get into these things, and then when I look back on it, I'm like, okay, I can see where Rachel is having a hard time connecting these dots.
I love it. I love it so much. But my question is, when are you going to make your own spear for throwing? Because
it's all my short
You know how to weld, you know how to turn wood.
I definitely want to do that. For sure I want to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to make all kinds of stuff I can throw. It's just fun. I don't know.
Do you have a bench update for us?
I don't have a bench update.
Okay.
But I did complete the shoe rack for Ellie and painted it and all that kind of stuff.
Look at that.
And I completed, I didn't even think I took a picture of it, but I completed the like latest thing for the backgrounds for photo.
Yeah.
I did this piece of wood and I distressed one side of it and the other one was clean. So I did that. So
tell our friends how you distress the wood. I heard about this morning.
The distressing? Okay. So if you have wood that you want to look aged or distressed, it's a lot of fun to make that happen. Because you're trying to accelerate like 30 years of wear.
I wish that I had. I loved my visual of this, so I want you to share this with.
You just
with
have to
friends.
get really creative. You're like, well, how do I get wood to have like indentations and other things like that?
So what did you grab?
So the first thing that I grabbed was just some like really thick chain, like 3/8 inch chain. And I just beat it. I had to put a glove on because it was bouncing up and like smacking my knuckles and it really hurt. So I put on this padded glove and I'm just have this thing on my workbench and I'm literally just like whacking it with a chain over and over again, trying to get the pattern to be like somewhat random.
In retrospect, do you wish you had put on a particular song for this moment?
That would have been great for a song. Yeah, I don't know that I think I was just like listening to a podcast or something, but a song would have been great for that. I don't know, some kind of like montage, type thing.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. So yeah,
you spent some time just whipping a piece of wood with some chain.
A piece of wood with chain.
Yep.
Right, that was the most dramatic one. And then I took a big, just like hand saw and just sawed on it in a few places and then kind of like scratched the saw kind of all over it and hit it with the saw so the teeth made marks and stuff like that.
You didn't throw any throwing knives into it?
No, I didn't do any knives. Okay. No, it was a very controlled setting here.
It sounds very controlled, yes.
Yeah. To be fair, I did that before I'd done any axe throwing. So,
okay.
Then I could have just like set it up on the stand and just like chuck stuff at it, but and then I took like rough sandpaper and just like scuffed it up in random places, and then I like did some like different colored dyes and stuff like that to kind of age it and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you are not particularly peaceful with your woodworking this weekend.
I'm getting increasingly destructive.
Yeah, like you're throwing sharp objects and whipping it with chains and.
I mean, it sounds.
There's not a lot of finesse involved this weekend with you and your woodworking hobbies.
That's the thing, though. You think don't even know how I can explain this with a straight face.
I was very
You would
meticulously whipping it with heavy chain.
Okay, that was not graceful. That was just pretty much brute force. But it's controlled and artistic too.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But like the hatchet and like the knife throwing and stuff, it's not like wild.
No, you're right.
It's extremely controlled and precise.
It is, yeah.
Like the hardest thing with that is just to get it to even hit and stick in the thing.
There is finesse involved.
So you have to like be very, it just takes a lot of practice to do it. So anyway, I'm out there doing that, and then I'm so hot outside. I do that for a while, and I come in and I'm like all sweaty and gross. I'm like, Rachel, look, and I have some like video that I showed, and she's just like, what are you doing? I don't even know. She's like, she can't even like feign understanding of this.
Oh my god.
So I don't know. We'll see where all that goes.
That is amazing.
But
I love that so
Adventures
much.
of Brian Goulet.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it's every bit as fun as you think it is. So when you do finally get to go,
when you
it's a blast.
mentioned the spears, I told my
the
brothers
spear was
like,
my favorite thing that we threw.
because we were planning on going somewhere else, and I don't know if they had all of the different. So I'm gonna next time. I told my brother, I was like, all right, we'll put a pin in this. We'll go somewhere. But before I go next time, I'm just gonna go to whichever place has the most variety of missiles. So
yeah.
Something is technically a missile if it's thrown, right? Or does it need to be launched?
Nope. Anything thrown is a missile.
Excellent. Yes, I want lots of missiles.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Less crazy adventures. Let's see here. What else? So the kids also got to try archery, and I got Rachel to try it. She had never shot a bow and arrow in her life. And I was like, Rachel, come on, will you try it? She would not let me record it. I was like, I will respect that. But she shot 5 arrows.
Nice.
And she was like, yeah, this is really hard. And I was like, okay. It's like a 20-pound draw on this thing.
On a compound.
On a compound bow. Yeah. So I'm like, but like both her and the kids are like, oh, this is really hard. And I was like, okay. They're like, you just don't know how strong you are, Brian. I was like, well, it's because I whip pieces of wood with chains all day.
20 pounds is like not nothing. It's
not nothing. You have to pull it.
Yeah, that's
intentionally.
That's a bull.
Yeah. But it's like, it's just so funny because like both of the kids tried it and then Rachel tried it. And I was like, wow, they're obviously related, especially Joseph. Joseph and Rachel just have the same like, okay, I'll try it. And it's like trying it like to a point and then just being like, okay, I'm like done with this. So it's just like, they got the same kind of a thing. Yeah, Ellie would like latch onto it a lot more. I think I'm going to get her to like.
They do archery every Monday at Archer's after school.
Nice.
Or no, right now it's a summer program.
That's so great. That's so cool.
Every Monday. So
it's good. It teaches discipline. It teaches patience.
Yeah. Yesterday he came home and he was like, yeah, the compound was being used, so I had to use a recurve, which was a little bit more difficult. But so he knows the different bow types and everything. Yeah.
Good him. It's awesome. I mean, those skills are not directly transferable to most other areas of your life these days, but it's all building experiences.
As long as it's not a team sport, he's into it.
There you go.
He scoffs at anything that involves team sports.
I was the same way as a kid.
Yeah.
Like I did track and field. That was as teamy as I got in my sport.
He doesn't like, he doesn't like team sports, and
it's not for everybody.
No.
Yeah. And then also, speaking of movies, I watched some movies recently with the family.
Some movies.
We watched 3 movies this weekend. We watched Wreck-It Ralph, which we had never seen, which I thought was great.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Fantastic.
I was like, why didn't we watch this sooner? And then we watched Ralph Breaks the Internet right after that, which I liked even more because like I get more of the references.
Oh my gosh, the whole princess scene.
It was pretty good.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. Like I genuinely was entertained and was like laughing.
Archer knows what scams, pop-ups, and all this stuff is because of that movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And like Bill Hader was great in there and everything.
Yeah,
it's like very entertaining.
When I was talking to him about microtransactions the other day, and describing that, and I was kind of talking about like how and he's like, oh, kind of like this thing on Ralph Breaks the Internet. I'm like, yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty on point with it. And then the other thing we watched was High School Musical, which I had never seen.
Okay, that's
the entire context. Yes, Ellie wanted to watch it, and it was like, okay. Now, what we have watched before is the bad lip reading version of High School Musical.
Oh yeah,
which is friggin' hilarious.
Yes, I've seen that one.
I love it, and the songs are great, and we mock them all the time. But we've never actually seen High School Musical, and Ellie's a tween.
Isn't there like a bunch of them?
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah,
but this
so you
was
just
like
watched
the
first
OG.
one. Oh wow.
Yeah.
What was it from like 2002?
2003, I think it was.
Wow.
So we watched it, and I was just like, Oh my gosh. It was like so overdone. It was like very like early 2000s Disney.
Oh man.
With like Zac Efron. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm old enough to be his dad in this movie. Like I relate more to like the parents and teachers in that movie, obviously. But anyway, Ellie found it very entertaining. I was like, had to bite my tongue, not just to be making fun of the movie the entire time.
Yeah, you wanna
be
cool with that.
I was just like, oh, that's the plot, because I've only watched the bad lip reading version. If you haven't seen the bad lip reading version of High School Musical, watch it.
Watch all the bad lip reading, everything.
Yeah, but a lot of the bad lip reading stuff is just pretty random. You know, it's just like random nonsense terms that seem kind of funny, but a few other things are fantastic, like the High School Musical, because it actually has like a plot and stuff like that, and the songs are great in there. And then I love the Michael Bublé music video that he dubbed over called Russian Unicorn.
They're all good. And of course the Yoda song about the seagulls is fantastic. Yes, lots of Star Wars bad lip reading and stuff. Anyway, so that was all really good. And then last but not least, I finally seeded over the mud patch that covers my log grave. So that was just a fun sentence to say. So because I bought all the hay that I use for my, archery targets, I just bought extra hay and I used it to cover the seed that I spread over my log grave patch. So that's what I've been up to lately. I'm looking at our notes here, Brian, and I don't know if Rowie is still listening to this, but the person who wrote in about the singular ink use.
Yes.
Wrote Israeli name pronounced like Ro-E. And I called it Rowie the whole time.
You did.
Because I don't know what R-O-W spells. It spells row, like row your boat. And I'm like, oh, row. What's wrong with me?
I don't know. If you put a B in front of it, it's brow. So it's not bro.
They specifically wrote it down so that I could say it right, and I still didn't say it right.
All right. Well, Rowie, sorry about that.
Sorry, Rowie.
I didn't catch it either.
Golly, I'm the worst.
Anyway, there you go. That's our what's happening stuff. One quick company update, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
All right. So quick company. Actually, I do have two company updates. One I forgot to write down. So one is that we have a pen cleaning and tuning sale going on right now, which does include the feed cleaning brush in the ultimate pen cleaning set.
The most advanced piece of fountain pen technology ever conceived by a US-based retailer.
Okay.
We talked last week about...
If you go narrow enough, then the statement can be true.
Revolutions, evolutions. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the next step in fountain pen technology.
There you go.
In its advancement.
The most advanced fountain pen technology adapted.
And you can only get it here.
Adapted from oral hygiene.
Don't try to use anything else to clean your feeds.
Anyway, so we got that on sale. You can go check out those. I think we're running it through early next week. And then last but not least, we are going to be raising some prices on our ink samples because a lot of the prices of the ink have gone up for us.
Yes.
So just wanted to give you all a heads up. It's mostly like the most inexpensive samples and the random ink samples in like the ink sample package set, the random set, because the prices have increased on most of our bottles of ink since we last increased the price of our samples, especially the random ones. There just aren't as many like really affordable samples to include in there anymore. But we looked at other people that are offering samples. We're still competitive, but we just need to raise the price a little bit more so that we're not losing money when we sell samples. So that'll be happening. I think we're going to do it next week. So you have a little bit of a heads up, but anyway, I just thought I'd let you know. And then we can wrap this thing up. So I want to thank you all for watching. Look at that, Drew. Did we even break? Oh no, we split up this one.
Don't get excited.
Okay. Anyway, well, thank you for watching. Please leave us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing in the comments. You can ask us questions for future shows. Check out gouletpens.com for ink, paper, and pen needs, of course. And like and subscribe to all our channels. And I have a random fun fact for you, Drew.
Tell me this.
By Oppenheimer.
Oh.
So this is a atomic bomb themed fun fact.
Great. I need more of that.
So yes, this will be really...
Sure, it's uplifting.
Awesome. It's, I don't know, take it as you will. Like it or not, it's just a thing that happened. So America accidentally dropped an atom bomb on Mars Bluff, South Carolina in 1958. So in March of that year, a B-47 plane was headed to the UK and was armed with an atomic bomb. This bomb was even bigger than the Fat Boy bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki. During the flight, the pilots noticed a fault light, so one of them decided to go and check it out. In doing so, when he was trying to maneuver himself around the bomb, he accidentally released the emergency pin that was holding the bomb in the cargo bay, and it slid all the way back to the plane, and because of the weight of the bomb, it accidentally busted through the door and just fell out of the plane. So kind of a big whoops on that one. So they watched in horror as the bomb dropped 15,000 feet to the ground into some random family's backyard in South Carolina. The good news was the critical part of the bomb needed to set it off, which was the fissile nuclear core, was still on the plane. So they kept that separate.
Oh my God.
For during transport.
Oh, I was about to say, how did I not hear about this? Okay.
Yeah, but there were still the regular explosives, like with the part that starts the chain reaction, that was still there and that still exploded. So it still created a 70-foot crater, in
these this person's house?
These people's backyard. It fell on a kid's playhouse, basically. It did injure the kids. No one died, but they got a huge settlement out of it. So I guess everything worked out okay. But yeah, kind of random. But yeah, we bombed ourselves accidentally. But just you hear about stuff like that, and you're just like, "Wow, that's really something."
Or about that.
This was in 1950.
About that one guy that stopped nuclear war in the sub because he didn't trust that transmission.
That's right.
Oh my God!
Basically prevented World War III.
How many alternate realities did we just completely obliterate ourselves? I believe this is probably the only one that we didn't. I'm convinced this is the only parallel universe that we somehow haven't yet quite destroyed ourselves.
I mean, there's so much going on in the world. It's like, how do we know how many things could have possibly happened?
Oh my God.
And so you could either look at it and be like, oh my gosh, there's anything bad could happen at any time. Or you could go, well, these bad things aren't happening all the time. So it's there are good things that happen too. They didn't have the core inside the bomb.
Yeah.
So that worked out, but kind of crazy, huh? So anyway, just something to lift your day after watching Oppenheimer.
Thank you so much.
Crazy times.
I'm so glad that we're such a responsible species.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, on that lighthearted note, hope you'll enjoy your week. We'll be back next week for another Pencast. Thanks so much for watching, and right on.
Hang in there.